Connecticut, many Fordham fans have been left yearning for the days of Darius Quisenberry and Khalid Moore. But with Atlantic 10 play still yet to get underway, the Rams' postseason hopes are far from over. And now, with New Year's Eve coming up this weekend, the battered Rams have an opportunity to right the ship against a fellow New York City foe in the Columbia Lions. And those battle-tested Lions return 90% of their scoring from last year. And while this Columbia team does have plenty of reps under their belt, they haven't come in the month of December. Believe it or not, the Lions are coming off the nation's longest holiday break in 19 days off. So this afternoon, the group out of Morningside Heights will look to shake off the rust in the Bronx. It's Fordham and Columbia next on 90.7 FM. Hello and welcome inside Rose Hill Gym here on the campus of Fordham University. It's the final matchup of 2023 for Keith Thurgow and his group this afternoon. It's the 5-7 Rams, and they'll host the 8-3 Columbia Lions out of the Ivy League. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. Colin, both these teams returning to action after a little break for Christmas. In the case of Fordham, just over a week. And on the other side, those visiting Lions, they're coming off quite the lengthy break. In fact, 19 full sleeps since their last contest. It'll be interesting to see how they come out. A little bit of that rust versus rest debate.
Both teams have been off the court for quite some time. As you alluded to there, Miles, it could be beneficial in the sense that you got some extra time to rest, get your legs back to you. But at the same time, it could be a case of, oh, we forgot how to do certain things. Certain motions are not clicking exactly the way we would like them to. For Fordham, this is an essential game coming off of a devastating loss, quite frankly, to Central Connecticut State. Lost that one 82-80. This needs to be a good contest for Fordham. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a must-win. I called the last game a must-win. Now it's about just building habits as you go towards conference play. They need to set themselves up with some good habits this afternoon.
Absolutely, Colin. And when you look at these two squads, you see two groups trending in opposite directions. For Columbia, after starting the year 0-2, they've won 8 out of their last 9. And on the other side for Fordham, they started the year a tad above 500, but have since lost 4 of their last 5. And they stand at 5-7, looking to rebound. But Colin, before we move any further, yesterday we caught up with Keith Thurgow. He gave us quite a bit of solid information. Have a listen. Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran, joined now by Fordham men's basketball head coach Keith Thurgow. Coach, first of all, hope you're able to enjoy some family time over the holiday break, but college basketball-wise, Christmas a little bit similar to Thanksgiving in that it throws a wrench in the whole flow of the college basketball season, scheduling-wise. And coming off that difficult stretch, how did you decide to handle the Christmas break, just practice-wise? What was the work-life balance like for the guys this week?
Yeah, you know what? After the game against Central Connecticut, we gave some much needed rest. I mean, we've had some guys with some injuries and some illness that have gotten out. So the time away to reset, to recalibrate has been very effective. Unfortunately, when we came back, we had 5 guys with bedridden illness, so only a couple of them were able to practice yesterday. It looks like we have everybody back on the court today, which is great, so we'll get some good work in today. But, it was about rest and relaxation, spending time with your families, and now, the grind really, truly begins here the next 3 months. But, with people out of school and just us together for the next 3 weeks, this is one of the most crucial times, if not the most crucial time, that you have to develop and get really connected over the course of the next 3 weeks when you're the only ones on campus.
In terms of practice and X's and O's, what are some things that you guys are going to be working on from this point going forward?
Yeah, just toughness and getting back to kind of our identity. We're not, putting in new crazy plays or some sort of new schematic defense. I mean, you look at our statistics, we're about 5 possessions, maybe, 10 free throws from having 4 more wins. So, I know everybody's a little alarmed and everybody's kind of freaking out, and that's good. That's good. That's a positive. But, we're 2 turnovers per game from being 10-2 or, 4 free throws in two game situations from having 2 to 3, even 5 more wins. So there's, it's never as bad as you think it is. It's never as good as you think it is. So we just have to continue the process for this group, getting healthy, 1, 2, becoming more connected and really starting to focus a little bit more on our identity from a day-to-day standpoint, playing harder, more together. That is the key for us. And I think if we can play harder and become more and play more together, be more connected, I think we're going to like a lot more of the outcomes moving forward.
And tomorrow, the challenge, Columbia, another Ivy League squad, kind of similar to Cornell. They seem to have that Ivy identity. They're efficient at the free throw line. They can certainly turn teams over. They can also shoot the three. They're a tad undersized, but they're awfully deep. And in my research, it seems like that's the quintessential Ivy League identity. Yeah. In your tape, what have you seen from that squad?
Yeah, I mean, Coach has done a tremendous job. I think this is probably one of his best teams that he's had, one of his oldest, one of his most connected, really talented from top to bottom, right? So, again, they're a little bit undersized, but the way they don't play undersized. They play tough. They play connected. And that's the key, is being connected. And you see a lot of the Ivy League teams and a lot of the older teams that have been together for a while, winning at a higher rate right now because of all the landscape. They're more connected than a lot of teams. And it really doesn't matter about size or talent or anything or athleticism. The most connected team usually has a chance to win inside that 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. So that's something that you could tell on tape. They are connected offensively. They move without the ball. They share it. I think 18 assists per game. They're very good from the free throw line. So we got to do a much better job of staying disciplined defensively and guarding without fouling.
Columbia coming off of a very long layoff. You guys coming off of a layoff as well, but given that they're coming off of a longer stretch of time, being kind of
19 days.
Home, 19 days. Yeah. How key will it be to catch them off guard early, play fast early?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to really adjust too much to what they do. We're going to try to dictate, kind of just stay within ourselves and not let our opponent kind of dictate what we do. It's kind of twofold. One, they've been off 19 days, so they got to shake off the rust. But on the flip side, they've had a lot of time to practice and prepare, and what you watch on film could be completely different. They could play a different like defensive scheme. They could be a totally different offense. So we have to just stay within what we do and not focus too much on what they do. Again, we'll be prepared based off of what we've seen, but who knows what they're going to come in with, right? And they're probably a lot more healthy than they were previously, or maybe they're hurt. You never know because of practice. So try to focus on ourselves more so than necessarily what they do.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot. Go Rams.
Welcome back inside the historic Rose Hill Gym. It's the Columbia Lions and the Fordham Rams this afternoon. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. Colin, when you look at this Columbia team, you see a veteran group. They return over 90% of their scoring from last year, and they can hurt you in a variety of ways.
This is a Columbia team that is really deep in terms of their bench players as well, Miles. It's not just their starting five that you have to worry about. They can hurt you 10 ways to Sunday with some of their auxiliary role players. For Fordham, you're going to have to try and beat them with some speed. Columbia, a club that scores 79 points per game roughly. However, they give up around 7.7 opponent field goals from range. Fordham, when they're shooting the three ball well, they're bound to have a good day. If you get off to a hot start from behind the arc today, it can make a huge difference.
Absolutely, Colin. Let's take a look now at those Columbia Lions starting lineups. It's a guard-heavy lineup throughout, and it all starts with number 1, Avery Brown, the sophomore guard, 6'4", 190, out of Beacon Falls, Connecticut. He's one of many players who played his high school ball in an elite boarding school on the East Coast. We'll get into that in a little bit. And following up in the backcourt, it'll be Xavier McClain, the senior guard, also 6'4", out of Spring Lake, North Carolina. And then the most dominant guard on this lineup scoring-wise at 14.2 points per game, Geronimo Rubio de la Rosa, the junior out of Santiago in the Dominican Republic. And then it's the front court, Blair Thompson at 6'8", born and raised in New York, and he can shoot the three ball. And then wrapping it up down low is Josh Odunowu, the senior forward, 6'6", at 7.8 points per game. So there's your 5 for the Columbia Road Lions in their baby blues. And on the other side for the Fordham Rams at 5 and 7, a little bit of a change. Josh Rivera out with quad tendonitis for the second straight game. He's in street clothes. So your starting 5 as follows: Jaffe Medor, Kyle Rose, Antrell Charlton, and Will Richardson. 4 guards in there alongside Abdu Simbila, the all-defensive selection for the preseason here in the Atlantic 10. Those Fordham Rams in their classic pure home whites, and Columbia in their baby blues. It's the Lions moving left to right, and the Fordham Rams right to left. Once again, Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. A couple of New York familiar foes, Colin.
Definitely a New York matchup. Manhattan versus the Bronx. Very close in terms of proximity. I'm excited to see what Fordham can bring to the table this afternoon, especially after such a long break, Miles.
So Abdu Simbila in the center circle to tip with Josh Odunowu. Our ref has the toss. It's tipped back by Odunowu, handled by the lengthy Blair Thompson, and Columbia will have the first possession of the day as Avery Brown will walk it up, dish it left side for Thompson on the left arc. Swings it right back to Brown. He'll pop the three and can it right out of the gate. A 3-0 start for the Lions.
Avery Brown can hit the three. Only 7 of 33 from range entering this game, though. Perhaps one that he needed there.
20 seconds in, Jaffe Medor, the first offensive possession for the Fordham Rams. Top of the circle, he'll immediately heave the three. No good, but Abdu Simbila rips down the rebound from the left block. Spins around on Odunowu, rises with the right hand, but he's too strong there. Xavier McLean rips down the Lion rebound. It's a 3-0 start for Columbia with the basketball. 45 seconds in. McLean on the right arc. He'll take the dribble handoff now at the top of the key. He'll pop from 18 and rattle home the jumper. A 5-0 start for Columbia just 1 minute in.
McLean just with a clean look there. Went straight away with the shot. Didn't hesitate a touch.
Kyle Rose, top of the key three. Thought about it, decided against it. Dish left arc for Medor. He can't hit the left arc three. And De La Rosa rips down the Lion rebound. They'll have the ball up 5, 18:48 and ticking in the first half. Here's Brown, top of the key, carves in to the A10 logo. He'll get caught up, but outlet it left side. Back to De La Rosa on the left arc. Some pressure from Will Richardson. De La Rosa kicks it back to Brown on the left arc. He'll leave the three, and much too strong there off the back of the iron. And Abdu pulls down the Fordham rebound. Here's Jaffe Medor, top of the circle, 90 seconds in. Now it's Kyle Rose, takes the bounce pass in the left corner, finds Abdu on the left block, spins around with two on him. He'll rise with the right hand and rattle it in. Fordham on the board. It's 5-2 Columbia, 18-11 first half.
Abdu Simbila, a physical play in the post. Nice finish.
Here's Xavier McLean on the right arc. Some pressure with a mismatch in Abdu Simbila. 18 minutes in the game clock. It's 5-2 Columbia here in the first half. De La Rosa hands off from McLean. Right corner. De La Rosa thought about the three. Dribble drive from the baseline. He lost control on Kyle Rose. Regains the basketball. Still caught up. And this time Kyle Rose rips it free. Outlets it ahead to Jaffe Medor. The dribble drive and hangs and hits off the left side of the window. Fordham right back within one. 5-4 Columbia.
Jaffe Medor missed his first two shots of this game. Gets an easy transition look that time. That's going to be key for him. Just get going with those looks downhill.
Avery Brown walks it up on the block. F dishes left side for Thompson. Down low for McLean. It's the bounce pass for Odunowu. Short corner left side. He'll pop and he'll hit the mid-range J. Columbia extends it to a 3-point lead. 7-4 Lions. Jaffe Medor hands off now for Will Richardson. Top of the key. Hands off another for Kyle Rose, and he can't hit the three off the left side of the iron. Another rebound for Avery Brown. Looking to go coast to coast. Avery Brown has it swatted off the glass by Abdu Simbila. Out of bounds. Last touch, Abdu. Am I correct, Colin? They'll say last touch, Abdu?
I believe so.
All righty, so the ball staying right here with the Fordham Rams, and the first forced turnover of the day for the Lions. It's 7-4 Columbia. Jaffe Medor to walk it up.
Fordham may want to slow down their offense a tad here. They can go toe-to-toe on the break with some teams. I'm not sure Columbia is in that category.
Will Richardson cuts to the basket. He couldn't hit from the right arc, but he gets his own miss, puts it up from the left block, and he's swatted this time. A scrum for the basketball. Josh Odunowu whips it free, and looks like we'll have the jump ball here. Colin, it is the jump ball, and the possession arrow will keep it right here with the Fordham Rams. It's 7-4 Columbia, 16:41 left in the first half. A real quick start.
Definitely a quicker start than Fordham would have liked to have seen. As mentioned, this Columbia team can hurt you a bunch from the perimeter. You want to slow them down to the best of your ability in terms of pace.
So Will Richardson, the trigger man in the offensive baseline for the Fordham Rams in their home whites. Yoli Akuovo checks in for the first time. He'll dish it left side for Jaffe Medor, and he cannot hit the left arc three. Blair Thompson pulls down the Columbia rebound. 7-4 Columbia with the basketball. Here's Avery Brown, top of the circle. Dishes right arc for Thompson. Now looking down low for Adeem Bedri. Adeem Bedri spins around on the right block and draws some contact, and the finish through Yoli Akuovo. And Yoli wanted the travel, so does Keith Ergo, but they do not get the call. And off the bench, right into the box score, Zinedine Bedri, an and one opportunity. It's 9-4 Lions.
And Kyle Rose trying to calm down Yoli Akuovo and the rest of his teammates. I don't know if this is the time for calm, Miles. This might be a 6-point game already with just only a couple of minutes into the contest.
So Adeem Bedri rises and rattles around and out off the left side of the iron on the free throw. It's 9-4 Columbia. Jaffe Medor burst of speed up on the left arc. Up top now for Yoli Akuovo. Right arc, Will Richardson. He'll heave the three and rattle it in and out there. And pulling down the rebound is Adeem Bedri of Columbia. Now De La Rosa on the right arc takes the handoff from Bedri. De La Rosa thought about the top of the key three. He'll find Cooper on the baseline. Baseline drive from Cooper. Right side now Thompson, and he buries the right arc three. A 12-4 start for Columbia.
Blair Thompson, a New York City kid with a tough make from the corner that time.
And he's a 52%er from three. That's 12th in the nation. It's 12-4 Columbia. Now Jaffe Medor the other side. A pretty move from the left block and a left-hand finish. It's 12-6 Fordham. Columbia. So now some full court pressure from the Fordham Rams. Jaden Cooper pushes ahead, dishes left side for Adeem Bedri. Left side short corner, backing his way down on Yoli Akuovo. Works his way to the lane. It's poked free, but Yoli Akuovo a little too aggressive, and they'll call the reach. And with 15-21, Colin, that will take us to our under 16 media timeout. Columbia, a quick start out the gate. It's 12-6 Lions.
And that Bedri-Akuovo combination is something I'll be watching, especially in the absence of Josh Rivera. Who's going to guard the trees for Fordham? Yoli Akuovo could be in for a busy day, Miles.
So Columbia, a 12-6 start here on the road as the Fordham Rams still searching for their first win since December 10th, 20 full days ago. But with 15-21 remaining in the first half, it's 12-6 Lions. And we'll take a quick break. You're listening to Fordham Men's Basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hi, this is Mike Breen, WFUV class of 1983. WFUV is the flagship station of Fordham Athletics with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to Saturday one-on-one. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV Sports.
Columbia as we welcome you back inside the comforts of Rose Hill Gym. 15-21 to play here in the first half between your Fordham Rams and the Columbia Lions. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. Colin, a real fast-paced game out the gate, and a big part of that is the three-point shot in transition for both squads. Columbia starting off 2 of 3 from downtown, and on the other side, Fordham 0 for 5. They don't want to be reliant on the three ball, but over the last few weeks, it seems they've become reliant on the three ball.
We cannot stress this enough. Columbia is a quick unit. They're not necessarily going to kill you down low. They can kill you on the perimeter, though. If you're Fordham, it's paramount that you slow down your offense, play at your tempo, dictate the rhythm of the game, because if you keep allowing easy transition threes, this is going to get ugly very fast.
So about 4.5 minutes in, it's 12-6 Columbia with the basketball. The offensive baseline inbound. It's Brown to De La Rosa on the left arc, looking down low for Bedri. Bedri with the mismatch and Will Richardson on him, backing his way down from the left block. He can't hit on the turnaround and wrestling for it and called for the foul. Zinedine Bedri is a little bit too aggressive, going for the rebound, and this will be the stoppage of play going back the Fordham Rams' way.
And a fantastic job by Will Richardson to really stay with him on that low post. Not easy for a guard to play down there on a mismatch, but did a nice job keeping in front of him. Didn't foul him either, an important part of that equation.
So the Rams get a stop. It's 12-6 Lions. Antrell Charlton, top of the key, holds the ball at his right hip and then looks down low and has it picked off by Bedry. Cooper in transition, dishes right side for Thompson. He'll pop the three and nothing but net from the right corner. 15-6 Lions, the second of the day for Thompson, and Thompson is a flamethrower. Top of the key, here's Jaffe Medor, bounces left arc for Ramad Dean. Now down low, it's Will Richardson caught up top. Now Elijah Gray, high arcing three off the back of the heel, and Columbia battling for the rebound. Avery Brown will pull it down. 15-6 Lions, dribble drive from Avery Brown, caught up on the left block on Ramad Dean. Back up top for Bedry. Bedry goes to work and draws the contact. This time it's on Elijah Gray from the right block, and it'll be two more free throws for the sophomore out of Algeria, Zine Eddine Bedry.
Columbia almost playing a Phoenix Suns style of offense. As soon as they get the basketball, they run up the court and try and get a shot off within the first 1 to 2 passes, it seems. And Fordham's allowing them to do this to one extent or another through the turnovers that they've given up so far, Miles.
So Dean Bedry deeply bends the knees on the high arcing free throw. He's well short there. So the lead holds at 15-6 Columbia. And Dean Bedry, one of two players who took a fifth year at DME Academy after a few years at Spring Creek Academy. And Colin, a lot of high school experience for the teammates on this Columbia group.
Without question, and that matters when you try and factor in things such as chemistry, cohesiveness, and how we're able to fit together as a team.
So Dean Bedry, the sophomore, is good on the second, making a 1 of 2 trip and a 16-6 lead for the Columbia Lions here on the road in their powder blues. Fordham looking to turn things around offensively. It's 16-6 Columbia, 14-13 first half. Jaffe Medor, top of the circle. Dribbles with the left hand. Will Richardson will have it. He'll pop the three and rattle it in and out from the lefty slot in transition, but Richardson picks the pass free. He's loose one-on-one, and it's swatted back by Thompson. Last touch by Blair Thompson. So it'll be the offensive baseline inbound for the Fordham Rams. So Will Richardson can't capitalize, immediately steals it back. And now Fordham will have the possession. 13:57 to play in the first half. It's 16-6 Columbia.
And Will Richardson looking for a foul on that transition. Look, I'm surprised he didn't get one, to be frank. It was a good look at the hoop. Kind of just got hacked on his way up.
16-6 Columbia. Will Richardson on the right elbow, looks to drive in on De La Rosa, scoops it in from the left window and down. 16-8, Fordham a much-needed bucket. Some full court pressure from Kyle Rose and co. Now Kenny Nolan walks it up, the backup point guarder Columbia. 13:40 and ticking first half. 16-8 Lions. Here's De La Rosa, top of the key. Dishes left side for Tavroff. He'll hand off for Jaden Cooper. Stuck in the left corner now. Cuts back on Ramad Dean. Caught in the mid-post. Back now right side. Odunowu flips it down low for Tavroff. Heart of the key on Antrell Charlton. He'll rise, and he's too strong with the right hand. Elijah Gray pulls down the Fordham rebound, and a big stop there. Kyle Rose the other way on the right arc on De La Rosa. Spins and has it poked free. Last touch by Kyle Rose and an untimely turnover.
And Rose hitting his chest as if to say, my bad that time. And right now, Columbia beating Fordham at their own game. They're content to try and look for stuff in the post offensively just as much as they want those three-point looks.
Here's Nolan, top of the circle, angles his way to the right elbow, flips it back up top for Tavroff. Tavroff fakes the dribble handoff. He'll be caught up on the right arc. Tries to find the cutter, but Kyle Rose picks it free. Elijah Gray comes down with it, and the Fordham Rams force another. Here's Antrell Charlton on the right arc three, and he'll rattle it in transition. 16-11. Fordham a little burst of energy, back within 5. Odunowu right back the other way. The spin around, no good in transition. Antrell Charlton, the Fordham rebound.
Let's see if Fordham tries to set up something here.
Gray, top of the circle, now backs his way down to the 8-10 logo. Kicks left arc. Kyle Rose up top for Charlton. He faked the three. Now we'll have it in the mid-range mid-range area. Kicks back up top. It's Will Richardson on the right arc. Ramadine offers the screen. Richardson looks to go to work, pulls up the high arcing triple as well, short there, but the offensive rebound, and Elijah Gray no good from the top of the key. Missed opportunities there. 16-11, the Columbia lead. De La Rosa the other way in this transition affair. He'll pull up and he'll get fouled. It'll be 3 shots for Rubio De La Rosa on the right arc transition 3, and that will stop the clock, Colin. And man, oh man, you said it earlier, but Columbia is pushing the pace every time down the floor.
On that last Rams offensive possession, it was a little bit of freelance work, almost like a jazz musician. Wasn't really a script there, didn't call a play, didn't set up at half court and try and run anything of substance. I'm surprised that's what they're trying to accomplish against a team like Columbia with guys like De La Rosa who will kill you in transition. That's the word I keep coming back to. You will get killed. You will be destroyed. Insert verb here, because right now Columbia is saying, if you want to make this a run-and-gun type of game, we are all for that. Right now, De La Rosa going to be headed to the line for an easy couple of points.
And also the three-point shot, as you said, a big part of that is Blair Thompson. He's a 52%er from deep, a top 15 shooter in the entire nation, and he's already 2 for 2 from downtown this afternoon. It's 16-11 Columbia, and with 11:58, that'll take us to our under 12 media timeout. And with that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Taking a look at the scores from around the A10. Rhode Island is taking on Northeastern at home in Kingston. The Huskies lead 18-17 with 12 minutes left in the first half. In Amherst, the Minutemen face off with Siena. The score in that one is UMass 13, Siena 13 with 12 to go in the first half of action. Davidson is playing Ohio today in the Legends of Basketball Showcase in Cleveland. Loyola Chicago is looking to continue their success at home when they play the Chippewas of Central Michigan at 2 p.m. Duquesne takes on D3 Cleary University at 2 p.m. at home in Pittsburgh. Howard is traveling to Philly later today in a meeting with the LaSalle Explorers, who are perfect 7-0 this year at Tom Gola Arena. Like LaSalle, Georgia Mason looks to extend its perfect 7-0 home record as they take on North Carolina A&T. 12-2 Longwood is taking a trip to Dayton, Ohio today in a matchup with the 9-2 Flyers at 2 o'clock. The defending Atlantic 10 champs VCU are in action at 2. The Rams are playing Gardner-Webb. The Spiders are heavy favorites at home in Richmond when the struggling Lafayette Leopards come to town at 4 p.m. The A10 best 10-3 Revolutionaries of George Washington face off against Maryland East Shore Hawks at home. St. Bonaventure will be in Cleveland today for the Legends of Basketball Showcase in a matchup with Akron at 4. And in breaking NBA news this morning, the New York Knicks acquired OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors in exchange for R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a second-round pick. New York will also get Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn in the deal. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Merrick Rhodes.
And welcome back inside Rose Hill Gym. Geronimo Rubio De La Rosa stands at the free throw line, and he wraps up the 3 free throws on a 2 of 3 trip. It's now 18-11 Columbia. Antrell Charlton will lock it up on the right arc for the Fordham Rams. Ramadine offers the screen. Charlton angles to the top of the circle. Two-hand overhead pass to Dean on the left arc. Bounce down low for Abdou Simbila. Left arc, and he'll rise and he'll be well short there. And Ramadine a little too aggressive going for the rebound. He fouls Kenny Nolan, and they both hit the deck. Yes, once again, we'll stop the clock with 11:34 left in the first half. It's 18-11 Columbia.
Dean looked as if he had a chance to steal the ball off of Nolan there. And you like the play from a sophomore, showing a little bit of grit in a game that has not gone according to plan.
So 11.5 to play in the first half. Here's Kenny Nolan, top of the circle, finds De La Rosa on the right arc, back up top for McLean. McLean carves in the lane from the left side, rises, hangs, and he cannot hit. Some good help D from Abdou Simbila. Antrell Charlton, the Fordham rebound, kicks right arc now for Kyle Rose. He'll dribble waist high with the left hand. Some pressure from Blair Thompson. Now it's Abdou Simbila. Kicks left side. Zach Riley the triple, and he'll rattle it in from the left side.
18-14, Columbia, Fordham within 4.
An excellent find from Simbila as well. Very rare he gets the ball up there, but good vision to find a wide open Riley.
10:53 and taking first half. Odenau, top of the key. Dishes left side for McLean, and McLean the answer. The left side three-point shot for Xavier McLean, and back to a 7-point margin, 21-14 Lions.
And miscommunication on the Rams' part leaves McLean wide open.
Antrell Charlton on the left arc takes the Abdu screen at the top of the circle, looking right side for Zach Riley. He'll have it. Now left side for Ramon Dean. He'll pop the three and he'll rattle it in right there. The barrage of threes continues for Fordham, and Columbia out of the basket and quickly the other way. Here's McLean looking for the cutter and Blair Thompson. Thompson has it from the right block and finishes. 23-17 Columbia.
Blair Thompson, 6'8", 205 pounds. Definitely looked it there with a feisty finish.
10 minutes to play in the half. Here's Antrell Charlton, top of the circle. 23-17, Columbia leads. Here's Zach Riley now takes the chest back right side for Charlton. He can't hit. Off the back of the heel on the three, and Blair Thompson pulls down the Columbia rebound and slows it up. Xavier McLean now to walk it up. The bounce pass left side for Odenau. Left side short corner finds the cutting Thompson, and Thompson off the right side of the window and down. 25-17 Columbia.
That's the second straight basket for Thompson right at the hoop. You cannot allow that to happen if you're Fordham.
9:25 and ticking now. First half, Zach Riley at the top of the circle. Two-hand overhead pass to Charlton on the left side of the arc. Up top now, Ramon Dean flips it back to Kyle Rhodes. The extra pass for Riley. Dribble drive for Riley. He'll hang and get swatted by Thompson, but you heard the whistle. He'll draw two shots right there, and that will stop the clock once again. It's 25-17 with 9:11 to play in the first half. It's two more shots for the New Zealander, Zach Riley.
Zach Riley with 3 points this afternoon. Had the made three in the corner earlier. Now looking to add two more. And without Josh Rivera, they're going to need players like Zach Riley to step up in this one and try and provide some scoring off the bench.
So Riley good on the first of two free throws. He's up to 4 points off the bench today. It's 25-18. Fordham climbs back within 7 now with 9:11 to play in the first half. And the crowd starting to fill out a tad. The student section relatively empty, but outside of that, a pretty solid crowd for the week in between Christmas and New Year's.
Without question. And the students all home enjoying their break. I'm sure they'll be back here at Rose Hill very soon.
So no good there for Riley. It's 25-18 now. As Bedry at the top of the circle, he'll cross over on Abdu Simbila, kicks left side for Blair Thompson. Thompson to Cooper, now back to Bedry on the left side midcourt. Skip pass right side. McLean thought about the three. Jameer trips some pressure. McLean regains the possession on the right-hand short corner, flips it up to Thompson, and Thompson is forced to just grab it as the shot clock expires. The Fordham Rams force a big turnover, and the crowd liked that one.
And a very good stop from Jameer Tripp, the freshman showing veteran presence down low towards the basket. With his build, he plays like a forward, although he's listed as a guard. In this type of game, with his scoring, with his size, I would expect head coach Ergo to look to him more often.
8.5 to play first half here. Zach Riley, top of the key, drops it down low for Abdu. A couple of hesitations, and he draws some contact. This one's on Blair Thompson from the right block. It'll be 2 free throws for Abdu Simbila.
And if you notice, this has been a little bit like an NBA game in the sense that the in-between has been non-existent. Teams have either scored through the three-point ball or right under the hoop. There's no in-between. Someone like an Antrell Charlton is going to have to adjust their game plan to score points because that mid-range J has been largely unavailable.
That's a great point, Colin. So with the clock stopped at 8:30 exactly, Abdu deeply bends the knees, and he's nothing but net on the first of 2 free throws. Brings Fordham back within 6, 25-19, and Abdu Simbila, a 78%er on the campaign, has turned himself into the second best free throw shooter on this ball club.
Dating back to A10 Media Day, Coach Ergo had spoke about how Simbila wanted to become more of an offensive weapon. Safe to say he's done that this season.
Simbila rattles around and out on the second of 2 free throws, 25-19. The Columbia lead with the basketball. Here's Avery Brown, top of the circle, dishes right side for Thompson on the right arc. Now McLean takes the handoff. Chest pass up top for Kenny Nolan. Right-hand dribble. He'll
fake the three, pull it back, right back down, and dish it inside to Tavrov. Tavrov battling, kicks it right side. Blair Thompson up top for Nolan. They're moving in around the perimeter. Here's McLean, dribble drive, and no good with the right hand. Kyle Rose, some good defense as he pulls down the rebound, kicks right arc. It's Jameer Tripp. He hesitates on the three, dribble drive, carves in the lane, rises and draws the contact with the right hand. Jameer Tripp, the freshman, will head to the free throw line with 7:50 to play. And Colin, that will take us to our under 8. It's 25 Columbia, 19 Fordham Rams.
And Jameer Tripp will get a trip to the free throw line. Pun very much intended. A little bit of an AAU move by him there. Just a simple pump fake, moves towards the paint. That's textbook, Miles.
So 7:50 to play in our first half. Columbia continues to lead 25-19 over your Fordham Rams. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey guys, it's Nick Palmer, your New York Islanders beat reporter for the 2023-2024 NHL season. Tune into my Twitter at NickPalmer55 for live game updates in addition to pre- and post-game analysis. To get updates on all things Isles, follow me as the Blue and Orange try to bring another Stanley Cup championship to Long Island.
Welcome back inside Rose Hill Gym. Columbia leads your Fordham Rams 25-19 here at the under 8 media timeout in the first half. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. And Colin, while Columbia has kept their foot on the gas throughout this half, Fordham able to keep them scoreless for the last minute and 47 seconds, and they've climbed right back within 6, and just a 2-possession ball game now.
And Fordham has made 3 3-point shots, 3 of 13 from range so far in this one. By contrast, Columbia 4 of 5. So they've taken more intelligent threes, one could say. This game has become a battle of the paint and a battle of the perimeter. The mid-range game has been non-existent for both sides. Going forward, it's going to be about who can dictate the pace. So far, Columbia playing by their rules.
You're exactly right, Colin. One of the things we spoke about at the top of this broadcast was Columbia coming off a 19-day break. How would they fare initially? And man, oh man, they proved that right out of the gate that they took no time off. 19 days where it sure didn't seem like it. Another interesting element of today's contest, Colin, is Tom Konchalski. We're honoring him this afternoon. It's the Tom Konchalski Classic. Fordham Rose Hill Glad in 1968, a longtime basketball scout and historian who most famously earned the Basketball Hall of Fame's John Bunn Lifetime Achievement Award. And got to mention that on those 90.7 airwaves.
Without a question, Miles, without question.
So Jameer Tripp stands at the Fordham free throw line as we return. It'll be 2 free throws for the freshman. 6'6", 230 pounds out of Brooklyn. A body built for playing middle linebacker, you could say, as he's no good off the back of the heel. So the lead holds still at 6 for Columbia. And Jameer Tripp played 3 years at Our Savior Lutheran, program right here in the Bronx, who's known to produce plenty of D1 talent. He's no good off the back of the heel, but Abu Samila, the offensive rebound, and he rises from the right block and gets fouled. No good on the attempt, but able to earn 2 more at the charity stripe for Fordham.
And a good offensive board from Simbilo off the missed free throw. And if you notice, in those moments, a tad slower, not as free-flowing. Fordham able to beat out a team like Columbia in those type of situations with their strength. If you give Columbia enough space, you're going to lose that toss-up.
So Simbila composes himself at the free throw line, rises on the high archer, and nothing but net there. Make it 25-20 Columbia, 7:48 to play in the first half. He's 2 of 3 on the day and a 78%er on the campaign.
And this is an important fragment of the ball game, cutting it to a 4-point lead. Important in terms of tone and how you choose to play defensively, the aggression with which you play defensively.
So Simbila good on the second. Right back within 4 are the Fordham Rams, 25-21, as Kenny Nolan, the backup guard, pushes ahead on Zach Riley. Top of the circle, now he's caught up on the right elbow, dishes back up top, and some contact on Avery Brown. This one's on Jaffe Medor, and Keith Thurgo is irate. If you'll take a look at that facial expression, Colin, he does not like the Jaffe Medor foul, maybe 35 feet from the cup.
And to Medor's credit, that's a foul that doesn't happen if you're down by more points, because then you're concerned with playing it conservatively. You're not trying to make a silly mistake. They're trying to force a turnover, trying to get a steal, trying to keep his team in the ballgame.
So here's Tavrov at the top of the circle, has his pocket picked by Kyle Rhodes. He'll regain, dish right arc for a rope, who just checked in this ballgame for the first time. He'll get it back to Brown. Up top for a rope, dribble drive from the left side. He'll hang, and he's no good. Too strong off the left side of the window. Zach Riley pulls down the Fordham rebound. 25-21 Columbia. It's Jaffe Medor on the left arc. Thought about the transition triple, cuts into the lane, dumps down low for Abdu, and Abdu immediately traveled. He almost looked like he forgot to put the ball on the floor. Took a couple steps toward the cup and turned it right back over to Columbia. It's 25-21 Lions, 7:08 to play, first half.
And Medor makes the extra pass on that possession, but to tell you the truth, I would have liked to have seen him take it up himself. Not a great shooting day for him thus far, but to get going, you have to make those looks right at the basket.
So here's Brown. He'll push up, and he'll draw the contact on Medor once again. And it looks like that will bring Columbia into the bonus now. Jaffe Medor has just picked up a couple of fouls in the last 90 seconds as he'll head to the bench with his second. Will Richardson will check on. And Avery Brown, the sophomore guard out of Beacon Falls, Connecticut, will head to the free throw line for the final 7:05 of the first half, Colin. It's 1-1s the rest of the way for Columbia.
And Coach Ergo giving the official an earful right now. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
So Brown good on the first of two. He earns an opportunity at the second. And now it's a 26-21 Columbia leads. 7:05 to play first half. And foul trouble's been an issue for the Fordham Rams all season, it seems, Colin. And now Jaffe Medor early in this ballgame, 2 personals, and Yole Akuwovo also with 2 personals.
Surprisingly, Simbila, no fouls on the day. Yeah, that's an accomplishment for the big man. He has struggled with that this year. He's someone you're going to need down the stretch in this game.
So Avery Brown looks to wrap up the productive pair. No good off the left side of the iron. Jameer Tripp pulls down the Fordham rebound ahead to Will Richardson, and now under 7 to play first half. It's Kyle Rose, top of the key, finds Riley on the lefty slot. Skips it left side for Richardson. He'll fake the 3, dribble drive the left side, and hangs and hits. And the contact, the late whistle. This one will be on Geronimo Rubio De La Rosa. And an and one opportunity for the sophomore Richardson.
The development for Richardson is clear as day. 7 of 15 last time from the field with 16 points. 4 points so far today. He's becoming more intelligent. He's picking his spots with more authority.
So Richardson at the free throw line looking to wrap it up the old-fashioned way. He rises and around and down. 26-24. Fordham has cut the Columbia lead to just a pair here. 6:45 and ticking first half. It's Brown top of the key. Takes the Tavrov screen, pulls up from 15. He's no good off the back of the heel. Kyle Rose rips down the Fordham rebound right under the basket. Outlets it ahead. Now gets it back from Will Richardson. It's Rose top of the key. Rose caught up on the dribble drive up top for Jameer Tripp. Tripp has his pocket picked, and it's the steal now. Jaden Cooper ahead to Avery Brown, and Columbia into the offensive half. 6:18 and ticking first half, 26-24 Lions with the basketball. Josh Odunowu carves into the lane, rises and draws the contact from Abdu, and that was a late whistle right there. The Fordham crowd doesn't like the call, but it will be 2 more free throws for Josh Odunowu, and it's a 26-24 Columbia lead, 6:10 to play first half.
And I spoke too soon. There's a foul on Abdu Simbila. Odunowu shooting 76 from the free throw line this year. Perhaps not the guy you'd like to send to the charity stripe.
Odunowu off the left side of the iron, and a good break there, Colin.
And a Fordham team that could use a break, clawing their way back into this ballgame, but still not winning the momentum battle, Miles.
So now the crowd getting into it a little bit at 26-24 Columbia. Odunowu good on the second of two, able to salvage something from the trip. It's 27-24 now. Columbia leads with 6:10 to play in the first half. Will Richardson to walk it up on De La Rosa. Crosses over on the Ram logo. Dishes right arc now for Abdou Simbila. Here's Jameer Tripp, driving kick left side. Zach Riley the triple, no good, too strong. And De La Rosa the rebound. The long rebound ahead to Cooper, and Cooper off the window and in. A pretty finish in transition. And at 29-24, Columbia lead. Richardson takes it back the other way on the left arc. 5:40 to play first half. 29-24 Lions. Richardson, left arc triple, no good, off the left side of the iron. And Jaden Cooper pulls down another Lion board.
A clean look for Richardson, though. You take that every single time if you're the kid from Teaneck.
Avery Brown slows things down on the left side of the arc. The hesitation dribble in on Abdou. He hangs, but he cannot hit. Rose rips down the rebound and lobs it ahead to Will Richardson. Into the offensive half. Here's Richardson, and the block out of the right hand of Odunowu. The offensive rebound. Fordham, can they keep it here on the second try? It's the foul. This one's on Abdou Simbila. That'll be his second of the day. And looks like he's headed to the bench now with 5:06 to play first half. And once again, with every foul being the bonus, it's the 1-and-1 for Josh Odunowu all the way on the other side of the court.
Yole Akuovu coming in for Fordham in relief of Abdou Simbila. And while he's got some size, Fordham, with a smaller lineup at the moment than Columbia, they just seem to be the more athletic team in terms of build and things of that sort. We keep harping on it. Fordham needs to play at their pace. For this particular contest, it has to be a slower pace.
So the 1-and-1, the front end of the 1-and-1 is good. Under the right hand of Odunowu. Earns the second opportunity at 30-24 Columbia. 5:06 to play once again here in the first half. And Odunowu, the starting five of this team at 6'6", undersized, but he's good on the second free throw. 31-24 Columbia is now Will Richardson to walk it up. Richardson, the waist-high dribble with the left hand. Now under 5 to play first half. Richardson, top of the key. Once again, dribbles with the right hand, whips it up top for Jameer Tripp. Tripp dribble drive from the left side, caught up on the left block, up top to Antrell Charlton. Charlton faked it, up top to Richardson. He'll pop the three, no good, off the right side of the iron. And down low, Kyle Rose couldn't handle the rebound. Last touch off the hands of 10. And going back Columbia's way, 31-24, 4:40 to play first half.
Fordham trailing 7, a big offensive possession now for Columbia, a chance to make it a 9 or 10-point ball game.
Here's Avery Brown on the block. F dribbles waist high with the left hand. Crosses over on Kyle Rose. Up top for Stankard. Stankard the three. No good. Off the back of the heel. His first shot attempt of the day. Pulled down by Will Richardson. Kicks it left arc for Kyle Rose. Rose the drive, and he cannot hit. Some real hang time, and Yole Akuovu the offensive rebound. Akuovu on the second try. He can't hit, well short with the righty hook. Avery Brown pulls it down. Drives, looks down low for Odunowu, and Odunowu is caught up and called for the travel. The transition, moving his feet, and turned right back over to the Fordham Rams. 31-24 Columbia, 4:06 to play first half.
And the Rams catch a break that time. The Lions had numbers on them going down the court, just not able to finish it with a look at the hoop. It's going to be a track meet if Columbia continues to predicate the rules of the ballgame. Excuse me.
So Will Richardson, once again, the waist-high dribble with his right hand, will walk it up on Xavier Brown. Drives in, look to draw some contact, and off the glass and in. Off the top of the glass and in, and Fordham back within 5, 3:50 and ticking first half. Here's a rope on the top of the circle. Some pressure from Antrell Charlton on the left arc. He'll hand off for De La Rosa. Now flip it high post for Odunowu. Odunowu caught up on Charlton. Kicks back to a rope the triple in and out from the left side. And ripped down by Will Richardson. 3.5 to play in the first half. Kyle Rhodes, top of the key. He'll find Antrell Charlton on the left arc. He'll take the Jameer Tripp screen and bounce it to him on the left arc. Here's Jameer Tripp, crosses over on a rope, drives in, kicks right side. Kyle Rhodes, the triple, no good. Well short off the right side of the iron, and Jaden Cooper pulls down the line rebound.
Rose still scoreless today, hasn't scored any points, does have 4 boards though.
31-26 Columbia. Odunowu pulls up and gets slapped on the wrist by Kyle Rose. The short corner jumper will earn Josh Odunowu 2 more free throws, and with 3 minutes and 2 seconds to play, it's a 31-26 lead for the Columbia Lions.
And Rose tried to put up a clean contest, got a little bit too greedy in terms of spacing there. Going to send the Lions to the line yet again. They'll have a chance to make it a 7-point ball game.
So with 3:02 to play, it'll be 2 free throws when we come back for Odunowu. As it stands, 31-26 Columbia. And with that, we'll now send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the top 25 in NCAA men's hoops. In the Big East top 25 matchup, the 22nd-ranked Blue Jays take on the 10th-ranked Golden Eagles at 2 p.m. when Creighton and Marquette match up. Number 16 Duke is at home today at Cameron Indoor as they host Queen's University at 2. Undefeated 20th-ranked James Madison looks to improve to 13 wins on the season when they host Texas State later today. We have an in-state matchup later today in Kansas City as Wichita State takes on number 2 Kansas at 4 p.m. This is the first matchup between Sunflower State counterparts since 2015. 14th-ranked BYU matches up with Wyoming tonight, with the Cougars are looking to remain perfect at the Marriott Center in Provo. Number 13 Memphis is gearing up for a matchup with Austin Peay later tonight. The Tigers are coming into the matchup 10-2 and an undefeated 5-0 at home at FedEx Forum. The Quakers of UPenn are in action in Houston tonight, taking on the 3rd-ranked 12-0 Cougars. After getting the victory and potentially the game of the year, number 7 Florida Atlantic plays Florida Gulf Coast in a battle of Florida's east and west coastlines. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Merrick Rhodes.
Columbia leads the Fordham Rams with 3:02 to play in the first half. Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. Colin, Fordham was awfully slow out of the gates, and as of late, they've gotten back to their shooting woes a little bit. 1 of their last 9 from the field, but still right in this ball game within 5.
On the game, Fordham 28% from the field, only around 17% from range. By contrast, Columbia 4 of 7 from range. That's good for a 57% mark. Overall from the field, around 46%. This one just a matter of efficiency this far.
So Josh Odunowu back at the free throw line where he's 3 of 4 on the day. Make that 4 of 5 as he's good on the first. It's a 32-26 Columbia lead. 3 minutes and 2 seconds left in the first half.
And Zach Riley in for Fordham now. They're going to try and create some offensive motion on this next possession.
And Odunowu, a 2 of 2 trip there. It's 33-26 Lions. 3 minutes and ticking in the first half. Antrell Charlton walks it up very slowly on Jaden Cooper. Leans in a little bit, crosses over left to right, bounces inside for Jameer Tripp, and Jameer Tripp is fouled from behind. Jaden Cooper too aggressive on the reach, but Fordham not in the bonus yet. Or that will do it. Let's see. That will bring them into the bonus now with 2:50 to play in the first half. It'll be the 1-and-1 for the freshman, Jameer Tripp.
And the freshman got a little bit lucky there. Looked a bit nervous when he got that basketball. That's a veteran position to put a freshman in there, to give him the ball right at the top of the key, looking for someone wide open on a kick out, but lucks out, gets a trip to the line.
To Jameer Tripp, the front end, rattles it home. He was 0 for 2 on the day coming into that one. So make him 1 of 3, and it's a 33-27 lead for Columbia with the freshman Jameer Tripp at the free throw line.
And Fordham has earned all 27 of their points. You can feel the absence of Josh Rivera. There's not as many second chance looks or easy tip-ins after a missed basket.
So Tripp off the left side of the iron, no good. It stands at 33-27 Lions, 2:43 and ticking first half.
Xavier Brown walks it up on Zach Riley, looks left to elbow for a rope. A rope, the dribble drive, hangs no good. A little out of control there, and last touch, Odunowu going for the rebound, so the basketball going the Fordham Rams' way with 2.5 to play. They trail by 6.
And you don't want to get picky here. A basket is a basket, but the Rams would love a 3. A 3 makes this a 3-point ball game. You've got some guys on the court that can hit him. You got Tripp, you got Riley. Try and set something up here.
And the Rams 3 of 18 in the first half from downtown. Good for 16% as a team. Here's Antrell Charlton, bounces inside for Tripp once again on the 8-10 logo. Dribbles with the left hand, works his way into the lane, rises in all the way around and out, but the offensive rebound, and Abdou Simbila, the finish and the and one opportunity. Clock stops with 2:12 to play in the first half. Fordham right back within 4 with a chance to make it a 1-score game.
And Fordham with a chance for an old-school 3-point play there. A feisty finish from Abdou Simbila. 7 points on the day for him now. 4 rebounds as well.
So Abdou Simbila works his way back to the charity stripe where he's 3 of 4 on the day. He's a 78%er on the year as he rises, and he's good there. Fordham right back within a bucket, 33-30 Columbia, 2:12 to play, first half. And the crowd getting into it now with Jaden Cooper to walk it up on the freshman Jameer Tripp. Cooper up top for Brown. Brown on the block F with Zach Riley harassing him. Brown angles his way to the left side of the arc, flips it to a rope. A rope top of the key, looks to do some work in on Antrell Charlton. He loses the ball. De La Rosa regains with 8 seconds on the shot clock. Left side, a rope. A rope will heave the triple and rattle it in. No one within 5 feet of him as he silences the crowd. 36-30 Lions.
Gut punch shot from the Lions, up 6 now.
90 seconds to play first half. It's Antrell Charlton, top of the circle. Dishes right side for the freshman Jameer Tripp. Tripp left side for Zach Riley. Down low for Charlton. Charlton in and out on the left corner 3 there. And Avery Brown pulls it down. 1:15 to play first half. Lions into the offensive half. Brown's out of control. Jameer Tripp comes down with the pass. Tripp in transition, and he rises, and he's fouled from behind. It'll be 2 shots for Jameer Tripp once again, and that'll stop the clock with 1:07 to play in the first half. Fordham still trailing by a couple scores, 36-30 Lions.
A rope called for the foul. Bit of an old school foul. Just kind of stuck a hand out there, clothesline-esque almost. Kind of a, we're going to make you earn it sort of foul. You're not going to get anything easy in the paint. Columbia trying to make sure that they have control.
So this time around, it's Jameer Tripp working his way back to the free throw line where he's 1 of 4 in this first half. Tripp normally a 75%er. See if he can revert back to the mean here. As Tripp bends the knees, and he's good on the first of 2. With 1:07 to play first half, it's 36-31 Columbia.
Tripp now 2 of 4 from the line, I believe. And Coach Ergo spoke about the need to make your free throws, the need to play a fundamentally sound game of basketball. If Fordham had done that all year, perhaps their record is different. You can get into the what-ifs all you want, but as far as this one's concerned, the points will matter. They will add up.
So Tripp no good off the back of the heel, make him 2 of 6 on the day. It's 36-31 Columbia. De La Rosa top of the circle, getting harassed by Ramad Dean. Stankard has it on the chest pass. It's right arc Stankard. Hands off for Cooper. Cooper gets it in. Now gets it back, flips it into Stankard. Stankard, the give and go down low. This time it's Cooper to rise and hit off the left side of the window. And Colin, there are about 8 passes in one offensive possession right there, but a big bucket makes it 38-31 Columbia. 34 seconds to play in the half. Richardson walks it up, whistles for the timeout. And about an 8-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock here. And the Fordham Rams will head to their huddle. They're going to draw up their favorite play of the half.
And Coach Ergo can't be happy with that allowed basket. Cooper, 6'3", 185 pounds, living amongst the tall trees in the paint for a moment. They're able to finish a shot. Not acceptable. When you have a guard, we have a mouse in the house in the paint, you have to make sure you make a stop. And that's on Fordham unable to do so, down 7 points now in a game that you would really like to win as you inch closer and closer towards conference play.
And we've tossed around the term must win a little bit throughout non-conference play, but Colin, when you haven't won a game in 20 days, obviously a good chunk of that is 9 days off for Christmas, but the Fordham Rams haven't won a ball game in quite a long time. Back at Barclays Center in the buzzer beater over North Texas, it was Abdu's most famous bucket of the season. We all remember it, and it's hard to believe that that was the last time Fordham has gotten back to those winning ways, and now they trail by 7. Look to make it a little bit tighter before the half, but Colin, this is not where the Fordham Rams expected to be as they near halftime.
Most definitely not, especially after that win over North Texas at the Barclays Center. You had thought that would be a momentum change for the rest of the season.
So 8-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. It's Jaffe Medor dribbling waist high at the top of the circle. Angles to the right arc, takes the Ramad Dean screen. Flips it up top for Antrell Charlton. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Back to Jaffe Medor. Medor rises, hangs, and he's much too strong on the scoop. 7 seconds left in the half. Brown the other way for Columbia. He'll look to do it himself. Flip it back up for Stankard. Stankard the three and around and out. In and out on the three, Colin, about as deep as a three can be without falling there, but the Fordham Rams catch a break as the clock hits triple zeros. It's 38-31 Lions at the half, and the Fordham Rams, 1 for their last 8 from the three-point arc, 3 of 19 in the half. And Colin, that has to be our biggest theme. When you shoot 15% from range at that kind of volume, 19 shots taken, it's tough to lead for 20 minutes.
And only around 28% from the field as well. As far as Ram fans are concerned, you can kind of take a deep breath after the missed 3 at the end here from the Lions. Had that shot gone in, you're down 10 points at the break and not a whole lot of room for optimism, Miles.
You're exactly right, Colin. And a little bit of a stunned crowd here at Rose Hill Gym, but through 20 minutes, Columbia on top, 38-31. And with that, we'll now send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the halftime show with Ben Oppenheimer and Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Welcome to the one-on-one halftime report. I'm Ben Oppenheimer along with my co-host Merrick Rhodes. So Fordham came into this game not at full strength. Josh Rivera was out, and so the starting 5 heading into today's matchup, Jaffe Medor at the 1, Will Richardson at the 2, Kyle Rose at the 3, Antrell Charlton at the 4, and then at center, Abdou Simbila. And so people could see that this was potentially an opportunity for Richardson to step up offensively in Rivera's absence. And it appears he hasn't so far, looking at the game stats. 3 for 12 in the first half from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. And Will Richardson last year was known as being a great shooter from deep, especially in those A-10 tournament games against LaSalle and even against Dayton, having some great moments. And so far this year, in terms of three-point shooting, he's 13 for 50 from 3. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's really a big blow to Fordham, which is, I would say, offensively challenged to begin with, without, or I would say with Rivera being on the roster and being ready to play. I think they're challenged with him. Without him, they're really struggling, and the offense just can't seem to get it going. Medor, 2 for 6 from the field, 33%, 0 for 3 from deep. It seems like no one is really getting hot at the right time, even though somehow this is not a blowout so far. It's not a 20-point game or even a 10-point game. They're still within 7 points, which I find kind of incredible. And then what's interesting is if you look at the stats so far in the first half, you wouldn't even notice at first that this has been an ugly game for Fordham so far. Looking at rebounding, Fordham is not that far behind Columbia, 22-17. Defensive rebounding, 22-17, Columbia leads. But in offensive rebounds, Fordham has 9 to Columbia's 0. And that shows effort and hustle, so you got to give Fordham credit for that. And then you look at, in terms of free throws, 8 for 14, 57% for Fordham. That's not great, obviously, but Columbia isn't much better. 9 for 14, 64%. So what is it that stands out where you instantly realize, oh, okay, this is why Columbia is up by 7 points right now? Well, you go to the three-point shooting. As I said, Richardson, part of the struggling of this Rams team. Columbia, 55% from deep. Fordham, 15%. Columbia overall, 46% from the field. Fordham, 27%. I think that's the first half right there. What do you say, Merrick?
Yeah, I think it's kind of more of the same for this Fordham squad. I think the offense, I think you nailed it on the head. I think that's been a struggle for them all year. I mean, you look at their shooting splits for the entire season. I mean, they're shooting 41% from the field, 30% from three, and 64% from the free throw line, which is just not what you want to see. I mean, I think the one thing they're consistently good at, it's defense and it's rebounding the ball. And I think even with Josh Rivera not out there, obviously you lose a good amount of rebounding there. I think they still have an advantage with having Abdu, who's obviously such a great rebounder. Already has 4 rebounds in this one, and Kyle Rhodes doing a good job getting on the glass, and obviously defensively as well. Those are 2 of your keys. So if you have those two aspects of the game are probably going to go fairly well. It's really just the offense, and I think Will Richardson's a big part of the problem today. I mean, like you said, I mean, he's second on the team in terms of point total, but when you really look at it and the percentages he's shooting from the field, obviously it doesn't help out. But I think what's been a positive for Fordham is limiting what Geronimo Rubio De La Rosa has been able to do. He's Columbia's leading scorer this season in terms of points per game, and he hasn't attempted a field goal today. He's only gotten 2 points, and they were both off of free throws. So I think if you can continue to limit him, it takes away from this Columbia offense, who is a very good shooting team. I mean, like you said, shooting almost 50% from the field and 55% from three. Obviously, they could do to improve the free throw shooting a little bit, but I think Fordham's been good at limiting the amount of shot. I think Columbia is really just focusing on getting good shots, and they've been doing a good job of that. But I think Fordham really just has to continue to limit the amount of good shots they're allowing, which I think with this Fordham defense, you have the ability to do. It's really just you need to have some kind of production on the offensive end. You can't be shooting the way they're shooting in this one. I mean, it's just kind of been a problem all year. I think the percentages in a lot of the games this year have been fairly low, especially from 3-point. They've really, I feel like, struggled in that aspect of the game, particularly, which hurts you when you're going up against a team who is in the top 75 schools in the nation in terms of shooting the 3-point shot. I think that's the biggest thing for Fordham is they have to get some production on the offensive end, whether that's through Metter or if that's through Kyle Rose, who can get things going. He obviously hasn't made a basket yet. If you can get Will Richardson going, Antrell Charlton, obviously continue to feed the ball down low to Abdu. I think they really need to figure out what their course of action is for the offense, particularly whether it's you want to continue to kind of give Abdu the ball or if you want to try to have Jaffe run the offense and produce there. I think they need to figure out what they want to do offensively, but keep going the way they are defensively and on the glass.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. I think Abdu Simbila, or Sim, as I like to call him for short, he's been the bright spot this whole season.
I feel like every game he's the lone bright spot, even in these bad games.
Yeah, great defensive presence down low, and maybe you could say that the reason that Rubio De La Rosa, the leading scorer for Columbia so far this season, has not had any production offensively really whatsoever this game is maybe you could say it's due to the presence of Simbila down low, is that he doesn't want to drive inside. And then Kyle Rose on the perimeter is making sure he's not cutting to get an open three. And I think that's a good thing. That's a bright spot in this first half, is to prevent De La Rosa from getting his points. And maybe he'll get hot in the second half. But credit to Fordham for preventing him from doing any damage so far, because there's enough damage as it is that they're doing to themselves from this putrid offensive performance. It's just what it is. And I was discussing with our producer Brian Raybacks actually on the Hill podcast to watch out for De La Rosa. So I think, as I've said, that's a bright spot. That's a sign of optimism that Fordham is still in this game, that they have so far have completely shut him down. 18 minutes, hasn't even attempted a field goal But he shot 3 free throws, made 2 of them. So he's not completely invisible. He's got 4 assists as well. So he's doing other things in terms of playmaking. But in terms of shooting, they've done a good job shutting him down. And then you look at Blair Thompson, another guy to watch out for, who I mentioned on the podcast recently. So far in 10 minutes, 3 for 3 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. And he's got 1 assist, but he's got 8 points. So he's doing the most damage offensively to Fordham right now. So I would try to focus on shutting him down and also making sure that De La Rosa does not get hot. And I think those are key things to work on and to focus on heading into the second. And then in terms of shooting, it's almost hard to, I don't know if you agree with me on this, Merrick, it's almost hard to coach when your team is shooting so poorly. It's like, how do you say make more shots? It's like, or just make the shot. It's like, it's something the coach can't do it for you. You know, Keith Ergo can't make a 3 for Will and just tell him, you know, this is how you do it. It's like it's expected that you just make your shots and you make them when you're open and you take the right shots, and that's just what is a part of the game at this level in college basketball, in D1 college basketball. That's what's expected of the players, is just that they make their shots, and they are not right now. And so I think that, as I said, they just need to get going with that. There's not much that can be said to direct them to do that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think another important thing to note for the second half is like we've been saying, I think we've been very down this halftime. I think rightfully so, especially coming off the last 2 losses for Fordham. But at the end of the day, they're only down 7 points at half. And I mean, considering how they've been shooting versus how Columbia's been shooting, that's really surprising. I mean, Columbia hasn't been taking as many shots, but they've definitely been making them at a higher clip. And I think Fordham, one thing that's important is that they can't get frustrated and they can't start trying to force makes to keep up with this Columbia team, especially when they shoot so well from 3 and Fordham doesn't really shoot as well from 3. I think it's important and crucial that they don't keep putting up 3-point shots just for the sake of, they're making a bunch of 3-point shots and we need to make up for lost ground, especially Will Richardson. He's 0 for 5 from 3 right now. I think if he tries to focus on making some mid-range baskets, maybe get down low and get a couple layups in, get his confidence back, maybe then start shooting more threes. But I think it's important to not force 3-point shots solely for the fact that the other team is making them. It's still a close game. You're a good defensive team. You're good at getting boards on the glass. Obviously, you're struggling a little bit more on the defensive end in that aspect, but offensively you've been great, and that leads to second chance opportunities, and that's how you make a comeback, and obviously turnovers, which Fordham has the ability to force. So I think it's important to not force certain shots or force certain game plans just solely because you're trying to make up for lost ground, when the lost ground really isn't that deep. You don't have that much of a hole to dig out of.
Absolutely. That'll about do it for our one-on-one halftime report. I'm Ben Oppenheimer, along with my co-host Merrick Rhodes. We're going to send it back to the Rose Hill Gymnasium with Miles Grossman and Colin Loughran. They'll take you the rest of the way, and we'll have you for our post-game report. Thank you for tuning in.
What's going on, guys? Bridge Gotham here, your New York Giants beat reporter for WFUV Sports. Be on the lookout for weekly reports and game recaps on WFUV's YouTube channel. We'll be covering the action all season long. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at BGBridge for updates throughout the games. For all things Big Blue, stay tuned all season long.
Welcome back inside Rose Hill Gym. Halftime between the Columbia Lions and your Fordham Rams. Columbia on top 38-31 through 20 minutes. And while we have a second, we do want to highlight that this is game 1 of the Tom Konchalski Classic followed by women's basketball here at Fordham facing off against St. Joe's. And they've handed us plenty of materials about Tom's life and career. He was a graduate, a double major graduate here at Fordham Rose Hill before an amazing career in basketball. Been around the scouting realm for generations upon generations. And we do want to highlight the Tom C. Konchalski Foundation. Their mission is dedicated to raising funds to provide needed assistance for tuition, basketball camp attendance, and summer programming for students who embrace Tom's values. And if you would like to make a donation, you can log online to tomkfoundation.org. And once again, we want to remind you this is a tax-deductible gift. So always that side of it. Colin,
had to get that in there, Mike. Had to get the details in there.
And of course, the game following this one here between St. Joe's and women's basketball. Colin, you'll be on the call for that one, and that also a part of the Tom Konchalski Classic here at Rose Hill. Well, the Fordham Rams participated in the same classic they hosted last year where they went 3-0. They haven't been so lucky through 20 minutes, and like they said in the halftime, it's not a great start through 20 minutes, but you don't want to blow it out of proportion. 7 points is a lead that the Fordham Rams can come back from. It's just about the attitude adjustment at the half.
7 points, as you mentioned. It feels more like 10 points or 15 points, though, with the way Fordham has shot the basketball, shooting only 27% roughly from the field, from range only around 15%. The frustrating part for the Rams, they've only turned the ball over 4 times. So you would like to see more offensive production because typically their bugaboo has been turnovers. Jaffe Medor has only taken 6 shots. He's 2 of 6 from the field. Will Richardson has taken on that quasi-Quisenberry role today. He's gone 3 of 12, and it doesn't look efficient at all. It's not efficient, but without him, you pity to think where they would be. Richardson has 7 of their points. As for Columbia, they have enjoyed getting out fast, running early in this ballgame. They've spread out their scoring. They have 11 assists on the day as a team, as opposed to only 4 assists for Fordham. In terms of turnovers, they've turned the ball over more than Fordham. They've turned it over 6 times. So when you run quickly and you can shoot the basketball like Columbia can, you can afford to be a little bit more sloppy with turnovers here and there. If you are Fordham, it is essential that you slow this game down. I don't believe Fordham can win a run-and-gun contest against these Lions, Miles.
Yeah, Colin, those shooting numbers, as you touched on, a lot goes into that, but those 20 minutes numbers are very similar to the St. John's game where they shot 11% from deep as a squad, 27% from the field as a squad, and of course they fell by 22. And when you shoot with that lack of efficiency, it's very tough to win a ball game. Columbia finished off the first half on a 5-1 run. Let's take a 38-31 advantage, but we're back underway from Rose Hill Gym. Columbia the first possession out of the break. It's Avery Brown on the Ram logo, harassed by Will Richardson. He'll dish it left side for Xavier McLean. McLean down low, looking for Thompson, and is poked out of play by Kyle Rose as it flies out of play on the far sideline. Last touch by Kyle Rose. It'll stay right here with the Lions.
Fordham runs their half-court defense at every practice. That's why if an opposing team tries to set something up at the half-court, Fordham usually able to stifle them.
So here's Avery Brown, caught in the right corner, dishes back up top for Xavier McLean. McLean the handoff to Brown at the top of the circle. 20 seconds into the second half. Brown carves in the lane, flips back up top for McLean, and nothing but net on the top of the key 3. Xavier McLean gets the second half scoring going. It's 41-31 Columbia.
And Charlton just with a weak contest on McLean. Didn't really pop out towards him.
Medor hesitates on the right elbow, drives in there, look to draw the contact. He doesn't get the call, and he's out of control on the finish. Avery Brown quickly the other way for Columbia, gets loose from the right side, and it's swatted away by Abdou Simbila. The offensive rebound, and De La Rosa in and out on the right arc 3, and Will Richardson will pull it down for Fordham. A minute into the second half, it's 41-31 Columbia. Jaffe Medor stands on the right arc, takes the Abdou Simbila screen, has it at the top of the circle, whips it right side for Will Richardson in the right corner, who drops it down low for Abdou, and Abdou is blocked down low. Josh Odonowu, his first block of the day, and De La Rosa the rebound for Columbia. De La Rosa gets loose, and he cannot hit the spin around scoop, but Xavier McLean in on the putback. It's 43-31 Lions.
And De La Rosa with the miss initially, but it almost works as an assist. McLean gets the board. That's what happens when you create that sort of motion.
18-20 and ticking second half. 43-31 Lions. Jaffe Medor on the left arc. Thought about the three, dishes back up top for Will Richardson. Moving it around the perimeter. Here's Kyle Rose stuck in the right corner. Spins around baseline on McLean, and he's out of control, but he draws some contact. This one's on the help of Odunowu, and it'll be two more shots for Kyle Rose.
Rose scoreless today, has 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He's tried to do too much offensively early. What I mean by that is he'll take an extra dribble here, he'll stutter dribble there, instead of just taking the ball up towards the hoop. I'm not sure if he has that sort of bag of tricks where he can warrant extra dribbles like that.
That's a great point, Colin. And Kyle Rose scoreless on the day, bends the knees, and he's good on the first of 2. So finally gets into the box score as Kyle Rose, and Kyle Rose in his final year of eligibility here as a Fordham Ram, the all A-10 preseason defensive selection, and he's had an underwhelming stretch of non-conference play, Colin.
And really what it boils down to is you knew the defense was going to be superb. You knew the effort was going to be there, and it has. But the team has really needed him to step up offensively, and so far he hasn't lived up to that billing.
So a 2-of-2 trip for Kyle Rose. Fordham back within 10. 43-33 is the Columbia lead with the basketball. 17:55 and ticking in regulation. Here's Brown, top of the key, crosses left to right on Richardson. Dribble drive, kicks right side for McLean. The three, no good. Off the back of the heel, and Kyle Rose pulls down the Ram rebound. Rose the other way, hesitates on the top of the key. He's looking for a teammate. He hands off for Antrell Charlton on the left side of the arc. He'll find Richardson, top of the key, 3, and nothing but net for Will Richardson. A big shot for Fordham, 43-36 Columbia.
Richardson now with 10 points. Not an efficient 10 points, but boy has Fordham needed those 10 points.
Brown whips it down low. Here's Xavier McLean on the right side. He's caught on the right arc, looking to set up the offense. Just past to Odunowu at the top of the circle. 43-36, Columbia the lead and the basketball. Here's De La Rosa, one hand pass to McLean, right corner, 3, and nothing but net for McLean. 46-36, Columbia back up double digits.
McLean alone in the corner. That's on nobody near him.
And Odunowu a little too aggressive on the reach. It'll be the block on the floor. Jaffe Medor drew the contact. It'll be the near sideline inbound for the Fordham Rams and their home whites. And they have gotten off to a pretty slow start here in the second half. They trail 8-5 here in the second period.
And Xavier McLean has been a game changer for the Lions, up to 15 points and 5 rebounds.
Rose the near sideline inbound, looking for Antrell Charlton. He'll find him on the right side corner. Dribble drive in, backing his way down into the lane, fade away from 10 feet, and Antrell Charlton finds the bottom right there. Back within 8, 46-38.
And that may be only the first or second mid-range bucket of this game, Miles. That's where Charlton likes to live offensively.
16.5 to play. Columbia the lead and the ball, 46-38. Here's Bedry at the top of the circle, the knee-high dribble with the left hand. Angles his way to the left arc, hands off from McLean. McLean caught on the left elbow. He'll find Thompson, but Thompson has his pocket picked. He'll get it back from Kyle Rose, and it's the jump ball and the possession arrow going the Fordham Rams' way. A big turnover forced right there with 16-17 to play, and the Fordham Rams, the ball trailing by 8.
Fordham's body language getting better after that switch of possession. You start to see Jaffe Medor, Will Richardson flash a smile here or there, as if to say, we're not out of this ball game quite yet.
So Simbila bends over to tie his shoes. The reason for the stoppage at the moment. Looks like he's all set. It'll be Kyle Rose on the left-hand sideline inbound. Bounces it into Jaffe Medor, 16-17 and ticking in regulation. It's 46-38 Columbia. Fordham Ram basketball. Antrell Charlton on the left elbow. Hands off for the curling Will Richardson, who flips it down low for Abdou Simbila. Simbila spins around from the left block and jams it home with 2 hands. A big bucket and Fordham within 6.
Abdou Simbila with some bully ball down low. Just a big man getting his way.
Here's Avery Brown, right side, flips it up top for Bedry. Bedry thought about the top of the key 3, works his way in and has his pocket picked by Kyle Rose. Will Richardson loose, and last touch by Will Richardson as the ball flies out of play on the near sideline. Looks like that will bring us to our under 16 media timeout. 15:44 to play here in the second half. Fordham back within a couple of possessions, 46-40 Columbia.
And Richardson hits the deck trying to save the basketball. You love to see what we just saw here, Miles. Kyle Rhodes and Terrell Charlton coming to pick up Will Richardson along with Jaffe Medor as well. That's the type of culture that Fordham's trying to build here. They seem to have lost it a little bit. Maybe this is the start of getting it back.
So a three-point shot continues to be there for Columbia, but Fordham a gritty start to this second half. They've rallied right back within 6. 46-40, Columbia leads. 15:44 to play in the second half. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's up, guys? I'm Julia Moss.
And I'm Will Talent.
And we're two of your hosts for one of WFUV's football podcasts, NFL Friday.
Tune in every Friday for all news and updates around the National Football League.
Also, we'll be making our picks of the week around the league on every episode. Check out NFL Friday wherever you get your podcasts to catch the action.
To 40, the Columbia Lions lead your Fordham Rams here at the under 16 media timeout in the second half. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. Colin, Keith Urgo is known for one thing, that gritty mindset that he can project on his guys, and that's exactly what the Fordham Rams have come out with in the second half. The passion has been there, and they've crawled right back within 6 points.
Prior to this game, Coach Urgo had told us it was about toughness. It was about believing in who we are and knowing what it is we bring to the table. Right now, Fordham playing with a brand of fire in this second half. Abdou Simbila at 10 points. Will Richardson with 10 points. Two guys that weren't necessarily figured to be double-figure scoring guys when this season started. They may need them to help get the team to the finish line.
Well, Simbila already 3 double-doubles to his credit this season. Looking for his fourth. As you said, he's already got 10 points. He's got 4 boards to his credit. We got 15:44 to play in the second half, and Abdou Simbila has really solidified himself as the rock of this team. It doesn't matter who's there, who's not. Abdou's going to be there day in and day out.
And you speak to Abdou, the work ethic is there, the teamwork is there, just the definition of what you want in a leader.
So Dean Bedry works his way in on Abdou, heart of the paint, the turnaround, and the floater's there. 2 more for Columbia, 48-40, 15 and a half to play second half. Jaffe Medor to walk it up now on the right arc. Declines the Abdou Simbila screen. Flips it high post for Ahmad Dean. Dean left arc now for Kyle Rose. Rose getting harassed by Cooper, the backup guard. Now it's Zach Riley. Wide open in the top of the key. Triple. Fordham back within 5. 48-43.
7 points for Zach Riley now. A huge 3 from the top of the key. That's not his comfort zone necessarily.
Blair Thompson dribble drive, flips it left side for Xavier McLean. McLean up top for Eddie Bedry. Bedry hands off for Cooper. Cooper the floater from 10, and he cannot hit from the heart of the paint. Jaffe Medor pulls down the rebound. Fordham the ball, trailing by 5. Medor pulls up from 15, and he's no good. Off the back of the heel, transition, mid-range J, no good.
Medor only with 4 points. He's had an atrocious day from the field thus far, but he has to keep being confident in that shot.
Here's Avery Brown. Brown up top to Betty, and Bedry airballs the 3 as it bounces out of play on the baseline. And another turnover there for Columbia here in this second half. It's 48-43 Lions. 14 and a half to play in regulation. And the Fordham Rams get the stop. Now you need the score.
And Elijah Gray checking in for Abdou Simbila. They're going to give their anchor a rest with 14:25 on the clock. I wonder how long they leave Gray out there, and if that's a sign they're trying to create something three-point wise to keep them within striking distance.
And Abdou only with 1 personal as he heads to the bench. So 14-23 and ticking second half. 48-43 as Jaffe Medor walks it up and gets fouled on the floor. This one's Jake Tavrov. It'll be his first. So the near sideline inbounds play for the Fordham Rams. Kyle Rhodes will be the inbounder with 14:20 to play. Still holds at a 48-43 lead for Columbia. Kyle Rose ready to go from the near sideline, flips it in, chest pass to Jaffe Medor. Medor, the waist-high dribble from the right arc. Dribble drive, carves into the right block now, and he looks to rise, but he's caught up. Flips left side, Kyle Rose, the triple, no good. Off the right side of the iron, and Blair Thompson pulls down the rebound. Thompson ahead to Cooper. Cooper baseline drive, flips it back up top, looking for Thompson, and it's picked up by Kyle Rose. Rose bounces to Gray, and Gray in transition from the left side. He'll draw 2 more free throws. And Elijah Gray, who's battled some illness this week, we heard from Keith Thurgo, playing with some limited minutes, but he earns 2 free throws right there, Colin.
Elijah Gray hasn't scored yet. He's been an X factor for this Fordham team over the course of the season. When he's scored, the team has traditionally played better. Right now on that minutes restriction, as you mentioned, but if he can muster up something for the Rams down the stretch here, it could make a huge difference.
And Elijah Gray, the best free throw shooter on this team at 81%, as he's good on the first of 2, brings Fordham right back within 4, 48-44, 13:55 to play in regulation. Elijah Gray, the 6'8" power forward out of Charlotte, North Carolina, rises, and he's a 2 of 2 trip right there. Fordham back within a sole possession here, 13:50 to play in the regulation. Here's Kenny Nolan to push up, flips left arc now. Blair Thompson caught with Zach Riley on him. It's Jake Tavrov at the top of the key. He'll find De La Rosa, and De La Rosa, the right arc 3. Nothing but net, and Fordham takes it right out of the basket right there.
Textbook three-point shot from De La Rosa. Such a beautiful stroke.
51-45, Elijah Gray dribble drive the right side. He gets caught up and loses the basketball. Cooper in on the steal for the Lions. He'll push up, have it on the right arc, and look down low to Tavrov. Tavrov spins around, the extra pass to Blair Thompson, caught in the left side corner. It's the Thompson from Jaffe Medor, the pressure. Thompson dribble drive, and he draws the contact. Man, oh man. Columbia keeps their foot on the gas, and it's 2 more free throws for Blair Thompson. They lead 51-45.
And Thompson with a brilliant backdoor cut to work his way towards the basketball. He's only had 8 points, 4 boards today, but he's made his presence felt in a number of different ways on both ends. He's been feisty defensively. On offense, he served kind of that Zach Riley role of just really creating motion. He's a New York City kid with a prep school background. That's hard to beat in terms of intelligence.
And Blair Thompson is good on the first of 2 free throws, and he's perfect from everywhere today. Colin, 3 of 3 from the field, 2 of 2 from range, and they're 1 of 1 from the charity stripe. His Columbia Lions lead this one 52-45, and you're exactly right. Born and raised in the New York streets, then you go over to an elite Massachusetts boarding school. I mean, that's quite the life there, but Elijah Gray rips down the rebound. In and out on the second of 2 is Blair Thompson. It's 52-45 Columbia. Will Richardson walks it up on the left side of the arc. He'll take the Jameer trip screen and angle to the top of the key. Flips it up to Elijah Gray. He'll heave the 3, and nothing but net. The wide open triple for Elijah Gray, and a little shoulder shrug, and the Fordham Rams back within 4.
Welcome aboard, Elijah Gray. No points in the first half, 5 already here in the second act.
Here's Cooper from the right side. Dribbles right into the 8-10 logo. Drops it down for Jake Tavrov, and easily off the right side of the window and in. Back to a 54-48 lead for Columbia. 12.5 to play in the second half. Here's Zach Riley harassed by De La Rosa on the block F. Chest pass over to Antrell Charlton, top of the key. Flips it back to Riley. He'll heave, and he'll rattle it in. 1 more for Zach Riley, and the Fordham Rams within 3. 54-51. Noland in transition, pulls up from 18, in and out on the mid-range Jay, and the last touch going for the rebound off of Blair Thompson. The Fordham Rams red hot here in the second half, and they are within 3, Colin. 12:06 to play.
That last Riley 3, the product of pristine ball movement from the Fordham Rams. Columbia not doing a great job defensively of keeping up on Fordham and keeping them away from that three-point line. A little bit of motion creates separation. Riley sinks the shot.
Fordham injected some life into this crowd. Here's Will Richardson, right arc 3 as he rattles it in. Oh, knotted up at 54, 11:50 left in the half, and Columbia stunned here on the road. Avery Brown now to walk it up. He'll find Cooper, top of the key, and it's the offensive foul. Jake Tavrov, the moving pick at the top of the key, and the crowd is a big factor here on Rose Hill. Both sides will head to their huddles now. It's 54-all, 11 and a half to play in the second half.
And Jameer Tripp with a scream after that charge. They could hear him in Sheepshead Bay, Miles. The momentum has completely swung back in Fordham's favor, really swung in their favor for the first time this afternoon.
And the crowd has not been a factor all afternoon. Very slow to trickle in here in the second half, but that three lit him up, and it is 54-all, 11 and a half to play. And Colin, that'll take us to our under 12. What a run for Fordham. With that, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Taking a look at the scores from around the A10, Northeastern currently trails Rhode Island by a score of 61-48. UMass has a 4-point lead over Siena, 49-45. Davidson currently trails Ohio 40-31 at the half in the Legends of Basketball Showcase. The Ramblers have a big lead early as Loyola Chicago leads Central Michigan 20-4. Duquesne also has an early lead over D3 Clear University by a score of 25-9. LaSalle leads Howard at home by a score of 21-17. In a matchup with the A10 leading record 10-2 George Mason, they lead that matchup 30-16 with 7 minutes left in the first half. Dayton currently trails Longwood with 11 minutes left in the first half by a score of 14-13. And VCU leads Gardner-Webb by 1 point, 21-20. Later today, the Spiders are heavy favorites at home against struggling Lafayette Leopards in Richmond at 4 p.m. The Revolutionaries face off against the Maryland East Shore Hawks in the nation's capital. St. Bonaventure will take on Akron and Cleveland later today for the Legends of Basketball Showcase at 4. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Merrick Rhodes.
Welcome back inside Rose Hill Gym. It's a tie ball game, 54-all between the Columbia Lions and your Fordham Rams. I'm Miles Grossman alongside Colin Loughran. And Colin, at the half, those shooting numbers for the Fordham Rams were just abysmal, particularly from downtown. 3 for 19 from range in the first half. Well, you look at them now, 5 of 6 here in the second half. And it's been an unbelievable run. 6-0 in the last minute, a 9-2 run in the last 90 seconds. And they have all the mo necessary to take back over this ball game.
For as good as Columbia can be at making their three-point shots, they are just as bad, if not worse, sometimes of giving up three-point shots. We knew that if Fordham could get hot at some point in this game, it would change the complexion of the contest. It just took a lot longer than we had anticipated.
So everything trending the Fordham Rams' way in the last minute. It's a 6-0 run, and it's 54-all. Will Richardson to walk it up in his home whites. Waves off the play now, drops it down low for Zach Riley. Right corner, flips back up top to Jameer Tripp. He'll heave the three, and no good. Off the left side of the iron there. And Jaden Cooper pulls down the Columbia rebound. And De La Rosa flips it right into the Columbia bench, but looks like last touch Zach Riley as they'll be bailed out. And Zach Riley didn't even know the ball was coming to his direction. He was facing the crowd, but he did have the last touch. It's Lion basketball, 54-all.
He was surprised he was getting it again, but he's had a good day. 10 points so far.
Here's De La Rosa, flips high post for Jake Tavrov, the center at the top of the circle. He'll hand off for De La Rosa. De La Rosa works his way into the paint, rises the scoop, and he cannot hit, but he draws 2 free throws. A little too aggressive there was Elijah Gray with 11:04 to play. It'll be 2 more free throws for Geronimo Rubio De La Rosa out of the Dominican Republic.
De La Rosa, 5 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, though. Hasn't really been a huge factor in terms of scoring, but he's helped in other aspects of the game.
So De La Rosa good on the first free throw. De La Rosa, the leading scorer in this Columbia squad, statistically speaking. 14-point to a contest. You knew he was the offensive focal point, and the Fordham Rams have held him relatively silent, but a 2-of-2 trip from the charity stripe there. Back to a 2-point advantage for the Lions, 56-54 Columbia, 11 minutes to play. Will Richardson block F, dishes right arc for Zach Riley. Riley up top now. Antrell Charlton to the left block. It's Elijah Gray. Dumps it down low, and Jameer Tripp the finish off the glass and in. All knotted up at 56.
The sophomore to freshman connection. That's the youth movement for them fans.
Here's Kenny Nolan, handoff for Tavrov, top of the circle once again. Looking down low for the cutting De La Rosa. He'll have it, but he's caught up under Zach Riley. De La Rosa rises, and it's swatted away by Elijah Gray. But Elijah Gray, the last touch as it bounced out of play on the offensive baseline of Columbia. 10.5 to play, 56 all. It's Columbia basketball.
And De La Rosa wanted a foul, may have had a case for one. Gray blocked him from behind. A little bit of contact there for sure.
Jaden Cooper fix it into Tavrov, gets the handoff now back down low, and Jake Tavrov off the iron and in. Back to a 2-point lead, and the center down low, Jake Tavrov gets it done. 10-18 and ticking second half. Antrell Charlton stands on the right arc, dishes high post for Zach Riley. Riley over to the left elbow for Elijah Gray. He swings it right arc for Antrell Charlton. Skip pass looking for Richardson, but it's picked off by Cooper. Cooper loose ahead in the backcourt and off the window and in. Some good D for Riley, but it wasn't enough. 60-56 Columbia.
And that's a no-no. Trailing late in the game, a cross-court pass, too risky. Make the safer chest pass or bounce pass into the post.
Jameer Tripp has it on the left elbow, works his way in on Tavrov. Dishes right side for Zach Riley. He's no good. Well right on that one, and Jake Tavrov pulls down the Columbia rebound. 9.5 to play, 60-56 is the Columbia lead and the basketball. Rubio De La Rosa has it on the right elbow, chest pass over near side for Kenny Noland. Near arc, back up top for De La Rosa. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Tavrov will slow things down. Handoff for De La Rosa on the left side. The drive, and Tavrov will draw the contact there. And Jake Tavrov, 2 more free throws for Columbia. Already a 4-point advantage.
And Tavrov, perhaps not the tallest person on Columbia's team. He may be, but he is definitely the most physically imposing. You take one look at him and you know he's a center. You know he's someone that can command the painted area.
And you're exactly right. He's actually tied for the tallest roster number at 6'9", 230 pounds. As he bends the knees, and he's nothing but net there. So extends the lead to 5 of Columbia, 61-56, and the Fordham Rams are scoreless in the last 90 seconds. And they had all that mo, got the crowd involved, but ever since, they've been pretty quiet offensively.
And credit to Columbia for keeping within themselves and not allowing this thing to completely unravel.
Well, 2-of-2 trip out of the right hand of Jake Tavrov, the backup center out of Oceanside, New York. And it's back to a 6-point advantage for the Lions, 62-56. Jaffe Medor on the block F of Fordham, 9:05 remaining second half. Jaffe Medor, chest pass for Jameer Tripp. He'll pop the 3, no good. Off the back of the heel, another Tavrov rebound.
And a big rebound for Tavrov. Just got in the way of Abdus Simbil and made him look small on that board.
8:51 and ticking second half. Tavrov hands it off right side for Cooper. Cooper to pull up from 15, around and out. About as deep as you can be there, but no bucket. 62-56, Jaffe Medor the other way, hangs in the center of the paint and hits the floater. Fordham back within 4.
There's Jaffe Medor, 6 points now. A little bit of a Kyrie Irving-esque look there, just puts the floater up in good time.
8.5 to play, 62-58, the Columbia lead with the possession. Here's De La Rosa, top of the circle, bounces it lefty slot for Tavrov. Tavrov with no one around him, looks to go to work on Abdu. He's caught up on the right block, spins around, and much too much with the left hand. Will Richardson pulls down the Fordham rebound. 8:07 and ticking, second half, 62-58 Columbia. Left side of the arc, it's Will Richardson, dumps it down low for the freshman in Tripp. Back up top for Antrell Charlton. He'll fake the 3. 15 seconds on the shot clock as he's fouled by Cooper as they both hit the deck in the mid-post. And Colin, with 7:55 to play, It's a 62-58 Columbia lead, and looks like that will take us to our under 8 media timeout.
And wouldn't you love to know what the message from Keith Ergo is right about now? Down 4 points. You're losing a little bit of that momentum that you gained back earlier in the half, but Fordham definitely still has a chance to steal this ball game, and make no mistake, it would be a steal of a win based on how they shot the ball early.
So the Fordham Rams, an ice-cold shooting start in the first half. Well, they were 5 of their first 6 from range to start the second half, but then as of late, 1 for their last 4. They're back down to earth, and it's a 62-58 lead for Columbia at our under 8 media timeout. 7:55 to play here from Rose Hill. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jack Warner, one of your New York Rangers beat reporters for the 2023-2024 NHL season. I'll have you covered all season long as New York looks to bring a Stanley Cup back to the Big Apple in Peter Laviolette's first season as head coach. Follow me on Twitter at Jack_Warner23 for live game updates, post-game media availability, and all things Blue Shirts.
And welcome back inside Rose Hill Gym. 7 minutes and 55 seconds to play here from the Bronx between the Columbia Lions and your Fordham Rams. It's a 62-58 lead for Columbia. They led by 7 at the break. Fordham charged all the way back, tied it up. But a little bit of Columbia momentum has them back up a couple scores.
And Fordham has outscored Columbia so far 27-24 in this second half. And Fordham's highs have been really high, but their lows were also really low early in this ballgame. It's been a little bit different for Columbia. They haven't had an absolutely commanding stretch. They've been very good for the entire ballgame. When you do that, it gives you the ability to withstand some really, truly offensive moments from Fordham. That's the best way I can describe it to you right now. Columbia shooting around 44% in this second half. Without that kind of consistency, they wouldn't have been able to survive the barrage that Fordham momentarily had going.
Absolutely, and they got the graphic up here on both sides of the Jumbotron at Fordham University, or screen if you will. I don't know if you can call it Jumbotron, but team autographs after the game for the entire Fordham roster. And this is a Fordham men's basketball team that hasn't won a game since December 10th. I don't think that'd be a very joyous autograph session were this to result in a loss.
I have to agree with you there, Miles, especially following a loss. Who wants to be signing anything after a loss?
Especially after it's, your third loss in 20 days. It wouldn't be fun. Here's Kyle Rose, top of the key, dishes right arc for Jaffe Medor. Rose gets it back on the lefty slot. A little bit of dribble penetration. He gets caught up, skips it right side for Jaffe Medor. He's caught in the corner. He'll heave the three, and nothing but net for Jaffe Medor. Fordham right back within one, 62-61.
Medor hit the floater earlier in the half, gets a three-point look to fall this time.
Odunowu, top of the circle for Columbia, just trailing by a sole point. Odunowu, left side mid-post. He gets fouled on the floor by Jaffe Medor, and he bumped into him, didn't even know where he was, Colin.
And Odunowu, perhaps a little bit of acting there, making his case for this year's Tony. Never too early, Miles.
That's true. What is that, in February?
That's a June award.
That's a June award.
The season's starting up soon. Spring is coming. Everyone needs to be in motion.
So Columbia the lead. 62-61, 7-12 and ticking in regulation. Here's Brown. Flips it high post now. Odunowu over to Thompson. Dribble drive for Blair Thompson. He can't hit, but Odunowu, the offensive rebound. Kicks right side for De La Rosa, and De La Rosa well short on the right arc three. Kyle Rose the rebound ahead to Jaffe Medor. Medor in transition, rises, and he's no good, but the putback by Abdou Sambila. Fordham their first lead in quite a while. McClain takes it out of the cup and pushes ahead, and another block. In transition, the Fordham Rams get a stop. 63-62 Fordham. Kyle Rose pushes ahead, flips high post for Richardson. Chest pass over left arc for Jaffe Medor. He'll restart the possession. Richardson, top of the key, just short there on the three, but Ramad Dean wrestling for it, and the putback from the right window. 65-62, the Fordham Rams on top of bucket.
And what a sequence for Fordham. They should be thanking their lucky stars. They have Abdou Simbila.
And Avery Brown tries some contact. This one's on Kyle Rhodes. It'll be away from the basketball on Odunowu. So that'll stop the clock with 6 minutes and 11 seconds to play. And I hope you can tell how loud it's gotten in here, because this was a quiet gym through first 20 minutes. And man, oh man, the crowd arguably the biggest factor down the stretch. It's a 65-62 lead for the Fordham Rams and a 9-0 run in the last 3 minutes. De La Rosa inbounds to Odunowu at the top of the circle. 6:08 to play. Here's De La Rosa on the right arc, crosses over on Ramad Dean, fakes the three, spins around on the right elbow, loses control, regains. 10 seconds on the shot clock, and the cutter rising up and blotted is Avery Brown. Swatted away by Abdou Simbila, and the Fordham Rams have it in transition. Jaffe Medor on the right arc. He'll slow things up. 5:44 and ticking in regulation. Antrell Charlton, chest pass to Ramad Dean at the top of the circle. Back to Charlton on the left side. He'll work his way down low to Dean on the left side. He can't heave the three. Up and off the back of the heel. 5.5 to play. It's a 65-62 lead for Fordham. Blair Thompson dribble drive. It's swatted back by Abdou Simbila, but last touch Abdou as it dribbles out of play on the offensive baseline. It'll be Columbia basketball.
Abdou Simbila has made some truly fantastic hustle plays down the stretch. That's his 6th block of the afternoon now. 12 points for him as well, an efficient 4 of 7 from the field. Without him, Fordham would be in a world of hurt.
And 8th-year head coach Jim Angles whistles for the timeout, and the Fordham Rams all the momentum they could ask for. It's a 9-0 run in the last 3:53, and Columbia looks a tad rattled by this Rose Hill crowd.
And how could you not be? You have your opposing big man in Abdou Simbila racing up and down the court as if he's a guard. You have players like Kyle Rose, Jaffe Medor finding their rhythm. When Fordham has this type of momentum, when they have the crowd on their side, they are a different team, Miles. You're starting to see that ring true today.
So true, and that three-point shot, a big part of it in the second half. They're up to 29% on the game after shooting 3 for 19, 15% in the first 20 minutes. And I'm not even sure if, Colin, that's something the Fordham Rams want their identity to be. But whether they like it or not, that's been the case over the last few weeks. They're a live by it, die by it type of squad.
They seem to be a by any means necessary kind of offensive team. However it's going to get done on a given day, on a given possession, is how it's going to get done. As for the three-point shooting, a little rocky to start, more than a little rocky, to be honest, but they've had guys sacrifice efficiency to try and make those baskets. Look at a Will Richardson. It doesn't help him statistically that he's shooting 2 of 8. What it does do is it helps the team, because even if he misses, you'll have a second chance opportunity if you grab an offensive rebound, if you're willing to hustle, if you're willing to be tough. And that's really what it has boiled down to. That's what Keith Ergo wants this team to be. They've showed it down the stretch.
And we saw a 9-block performance out of Abdou Simbila earlier this year. Well, his line is pretty unbelievable today. He's up to 7 blocks on the afternoon, 7 boards, and 12 points. He's certainly on double-double watch in 2 categories. Can he get it in blocks, or can he get it in boards? And one of the things you gotta love about that Abdou Simbila line is just 1 personal foul with 5:22 to play in regulation. And that's been a theme for the entire Fordham roster, is battling foul trouble. Well, today, really the only name in foul trouble for both sides is Kyle Rose. He's already got 4 personals with 5:22 to play, and we know what kind of presence he is on the defensive end for Fordham. They're going to have to keep him back out there, but I doubt he's on the court out of this timeout.
And something has clicked for Simbila today. You want him to be there for the final 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 3 minutes if you could stretch to that point. Columbia hasn't peppered the paint necessarily. They've had wings like a Brown or a Thompson streak towards the paint looking for an easy lay-in, but for the most part, they've loved living on the perimeter. They've loved looking for three-point shots. When that happens, it gives a big man like Simbila the room to work with, and it keeps him out of foul foul trouble.
Well, the Fordham Rams trailed by 7 at the break. They lead by 3 at the moment. 65-62, Fordham on top, 5:14 to play. Here's Columbia ball. McLean dribble drive, the right side is picked off. Will Richardson the steal and ahead to Antrell Charlton. Charlton double teamed by Blair Thompson and McLean. He'll bounce it back court looking for Richardson, and it'll be the backcourt violation. The harassment works out, the double team successful, and it's Columbia ball with 5 minutes to play. It'll be the near sideline inbound as they trail by 3.
It'll be interesting to see who Columbia calls on down 3 points now. We know they have a number of shooters on this roster, but who do they trust the most?
So Odonowu hands off for Avery Brown at the top of the circle. Ramad Dean the pressure. He'll pop the left arc three, and he's no good. Well short, well left there. Ramad Dean pulls down the rebound himself, and Fordham a 3-point lead. And the basketball, 4:45 and ticking here in regulation. It's Shafay Medora on the block F. The waist-high dribble with the right hand. He angles his way to the right arc. Chest pass up top for Ramad Dean. Now Dean left side. It's Antrell Charlton. Charlton calls out the play. Chest pass high post. It's Will Richardson. Richardson on the right arc, looking for some space. Up top, Ramad Dean. 3 seconds on the shot clock. He'll heave the three, and as it expires, Ramad Dean, the right arc three. It's a 68-62 lead for Fordham. Avery Brown the other way, took it right out of the basket, ahead from the left block, and he draws the foul right there. And the crowd is so dang loud, I couldn't even hear the whistle. You just saw the motion of the referee right there, but that'll stop the clock with 4:07 to play in the second half. It'll be 2 free throws for Avery Brown. And it's a 68-62 lead for Fordham. They're red hot. It's a 12-0 run in the last 5 minutes.
Ramad Dean channeling his inner Kevin Durant with that three-point make. Now Brown with a chance at the line. He's played a streaky game in these closing minutes. Not the smartest game I've seen. And he's a sophomore, Miles. Definitely room to grow with. Takes the half-baked three on the previous possession. Gets to the line here, but that could have backfired him just as easily. Could have given him up for an easy block.
So Avery Brown finally ends the 5-minute scoreless drought for Columbia as he's good on the first of 2 free throws. He deeply bends the knees, and he's nothing but net on the 2 of 2 trip. Columbia back within 4. It's 68-64. Fordham, 4:05 to play now. Shafay Medora to walk it up. On the right arc, it's some pressure from Rubio De La Rosa, and he stepped out of bounds, but it looks like last touch. We'll say Rubio De La Rosa tipped it free. So that will take us to our under 4 media timeout with 4 minutes even on the clock. It's a 68-64 lead for Columbia and a 12-2 run in the last 5:15. Colin, the Fordham Rams, this is the run that we've been waiting for a couple games.
Absolutely, and coming off of that loss to Central Connecticut State University, you knew that Fordham needed a win. You didn't really know if it needed to be a literal win or a moral win. And that was something we had spoken about prior to the contest, was that you just needed something to feel good about as you inch towards conference play. Now, if that meant a close loss, I think they would have taken that. Obviously, you play to win the game, but this sort of game provides the momentum they needed after starting so slowly, coming back. Now you have to win this ball game from a momentum standpoint.
So with 4 even to play, it's a 68-64 Fordham lead. And with that, we'll now send it back to our Rose Hill studios for a scoreboard update with Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Taking you around the top 25 in NCAA basketball. In the Big East, number 22 Creighton leads number 10 Marquette 30-26 with under 2 minutes left to go in the first half. Number 16 Duke has a 14-point 40-26 lead over Queens University at home at Cameron Indoor. Undefeated 20th ranked James Madison leads Texas State 36-28 at halftime as they look to improve to 13 wins on the season. We have a matchup between Sunflower State teams later today in Kansas City as Wichita State takes on number 2 Kansas at 4 p.m. This is the first matchup between in-state counterparts since 2015. 14th ranked BYU matches up with Wyoming tonight. The Cougars are looking to remain perfect at home in Provo. Number 13 Memphis is gearing up for a matchup with Austin Peay later tonight. The Tigers are coming into the matchup 10-2 and an undefeated 5-0 at home this season. The UPenn Quakers are in action in Houston tonight, taking on the 3rd-ranked undefeated Cougars. After a double overtime victory over top 25 Arizona, number 7 Florida Atlantic plays Florida Gulf Coast on the road in Fort Myers at 7. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Merrick Rhodes.
Welcome back inside Rose Hill Gym. It's crunch time here in the Bronx. 68-64. Your Fordham Rams lead the Columbia Lions. 4 even to play here. I'm Miles Grossman. He's Colin Loughran, and Colin, the Fordham Rams, a 12-2 run in the last 5 minutes and 15 seconds of basketball time in the offense, and the three-point shot has been unbelievable.
Fordham shooting roughly 54% from the field in this second half. Columbia down to around a 33% more. Momentum has switched. Fordham also winning the Battle of the Glass 15-13. It's important now that you play smartly and don't give up any easy turnovers.
Ball is in play. Will Richardson hands off for Jaffe Medor. The chest pass back to Will Richardson at the top of the key. Swinging around the perimeter. Here's Jaffe Medor on the right side of the arc. Looks to go to work. Dribble drive. Carves his way into the lane and hangs and hits. Off the window and in. 70-64 Columbia. Excuse me, Fordham. My apologies there as the Jaffe Medor deuce makes it a 70-64 lead for the Rams. Odenogwu will have it for the Columbia Lions. He'll hand off for Avery Brown at the top of the key. 3:24 and ticking in regulation. Here's Brown. Dishes left side. Thompson the triple. No good off the right side of the iron. And Elijah Gray pulls down the Fordham rebound.
Medor going to general the offense now. A interesting choice considering typically Richardson would have this role. As now, they are going to set it up a little bit here at half court.
So they'll slow it down. It's Jaffe Medor on the right arc. A hesitation step. Fake the three on McLean. Pulls it back from 18 feet and well short there. Off the front of the iron, but Elijah Gray, the putback, and the crowd is ignited once again. 72-64 Fordham. 2:44 and ticking here. It's Columbia trailing with the ball. De La Rosa, the dribble drive from the left side, off the window and in. And a big bucket there to calm down the Fordham crowd with 2:38 to play. It's a 72-66 lead for the Fordham Rams. This is a Fordham team that trailed by 7 at the break. Well, you wouldn't know it right now.
And a needed bucket there for Columbia. De La Rosa has had a quiet game thus far for his standards. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. A lot of Columbia's mistakes late in this game have come from younger players. Someone like an Avery Brown has played a good game, but sloppy at times. He's made some freshman, sophomore decisions, not the type of choices you would see out of a junior, senior grad student who's been around the block. Fordham playing a better game as a team now down the stretch.
It'll be interesting to keep an eye on the use of Kyle Rhodes here with 2.5 to play. He is not out there at the moment. The 5 for the Fordham Rams. Abdu Simbila, the big man down low. Jaffe Medor, Will Richardson, Antrell Charlton. Oh, and now Kyle Rose, the 5th body out there. And so he heads off the bench with 2.5 to play. He's got 4 fouls as he chest pass in to Antrell Charlton. The full court pressure for the Columbia Lions. Ahead to Kyle Rose as they'll cross the half-court stripe. More pressure now as Jaffe Medor will have it top of the key. Looking down low for Abdu, and Abdu with a 2-hand lay at the bucket. Back to an 8-point lead, 2:20 and ticking. McLean takes it out of the cup for Columbia, drives, looks to do it all himself off the left side of the window and in from 10 feet. And right back within 6 are the Lions, 74-68 Fordham.
McLean back with that basket. He went quiet for a while, now up to 17 points.
Full court pressure for Columbia. Will Richardson beats it himself in transition and the scoop. A pretty lay there down the heart of the lane, and Fordham back up 8. 1:53 and ticking. Brown looking to go coast to coast, drops it down low, and a 2-hand slam for Odenogwu. 76-70, Columbia keeps having the answer, Colin. As the full court pressure for Columbia will force the Keith Ergo timeout. Well, pardon me, they'll call the foul on the floor. Looks like this will be the 1-and-1. So Will Richardson look to bring it up court. He's bumped on the floor, and they'll send Jaffe Medor now to the free throw line. It's 76-70. The Fordham Rams lead with 98 seconds to play, Colin.
And Medor has come to life in the second half, not unlike that game against Central Connecticut State. This is what the Rams have needed out of him more consistently.
Jaffe Medor bends the knees, and the front end is good. 77-70. The Fordham Rams on top with 98 seconds to play after they led by 7 at the break. Jaffe Medor up to 11 points on 5 of 13 from the field. He deeply bends the knees, a deep breath to go along with it, and he's nothing but net there. 78-70. Fordham leads with 97 seconds and ticking. Here's Avery Brown, dribble drive from the left side in on Abdu. He hangs, and he is too much, but the putback by Odunowu once again on the tip. And Columbia and Joe Engels will whistle for the timeout. 1:28 to play in regulation. Another quick deuce for the Lions, and it's a 78-72 Fordham lead.
And notice Fordham just kind of let Brown streak down the court. They didn't want to foul him in that situation. Eventually, legs get tired. Guys get a little bit sloppy here or there, especially a sophomore like Brown. You don't want to send him to the line and give him an and-one opportunity.
Exactly right, Colin. And both teams in their huddles as it stands, and you can see the Fordham Rams in their home whites. It's everybody on the staff besides the coaches, the entire support staff and every player in a big huddle on the court, arms around one another. And on the other side, it's Columbia in their baby blues, huddled around 8th-year head coach Jim Engels. And Columbia looked pretty stunned at moments in the second half. They were in control through 20 minutes, but the Fordham Rams have proved their gritty attitude, I'd say, in the final 20.
And Columbia was one made three away from having a 10-point lead at the break. How different it may have looked had they had that 10-point lead coming out of the break.
This is a great point, Colin, and that three that was shot as the first half expired was all the way down and all the way out, but it surely gave the Fordham Rams a bit of hope right there, and they were able to go into the break feeling like, hey, this is only a 3-possession game, but a double-digit deficit at the half. I mean, just the mental factor of that, Colin.
And that's true of this season as well. Fordham 5 of 7 on the whole. A win here gives you just that, a little bit of hope as you head towards A10 play. That belief that, you know what, we can go toe-to-toe with a LaSalle, with a Duquesne, with a Davidson, teams of this sort. It's not always going to be a pretty game where you shoot 50% from the field for both halves. Sometimes you're going to have one half you shoot 20%, the other you shoot 60%. It's about finding a way to win no matter what.
It's tough to overstate how much this win could mean for the Fordham Rams, as Will Richardson immediately commits the turnover out of the timeout. It was the full court pressure by the Columbia Lions. They had all 5 bodies in the backcourt. Will Richardson was inbounded too, and he immediately stepped on the end line. So with 1:26, it's Columbia basketball, trailing by 6 points. Xavier McClain looks in, and it's poked on a play there by Zach Riley. It's last touch by Riley. So once again, it'll be the Columbia offensive baseline inbound.
I think that's 3rd down now.
Yeah, exactly right. So Riley taps it out of play. And now Geronimo Rubio De La Rosa will be the trigger man onto the basket. 1:21 to play, or they'll add 4 more seconds. That was the stoppage. They make it 1:25 to play, 19 seconds on the shot clock here. Columbia trails by 6 with the basketball. Odunowu, top of the key, drives in on Zach Riley, and the and-one opportunity. Finish with the right hand, and he hits it right through the body of Zach Riley, and it's a 4-point game with a chance to make it a 1-possession game for Odunowu at the free throw line.
Pristine awareness from Odunowu to know that he has a size advantage over Zach Riley, to know that contact is possible, and then to have the wherewithal to hang in the air for the extra second and finish the shot.
And it wasn't all that much contact on Zach Riley. He was close to the offensive foul, but Riley heads to the pine here with 1:21 to play. It's a 78-74 lead for Fordham. Odinobu at the free throw line for Columbia. The righty free throw is nothing but net there. And it's a 78-75 lead for Fordham. Kyle Rhodes, the inbounder, with 1:21 to play. Once again, the full court pressure. Kyle Rhodes running the baseline. He's running out of time, and they get the timeout. Kyle Rhodes, as the 5-second call was incoming from the far side referee, he's able to get the timeout in, and now both sides will head to their respective benches with 1:21, and Collins still that one possession game, 78-75 Fordham.
And for a moment there, Rose looking for something, anything. If you're a Fordham fan, you start to get nervous that he's going to turn the basketball over. I don't care how experienced you
see the
are.
look in his eyes.
It's in your head at some point that you've got to get rid of this thing. It's like a hot potato. Good to get the timeout there, reset, see what you can come up with on second down.
Yeah, no, it's a very good break that the Fordham Rams were able to whistle for that timeout. I'm not sure who got the call in. Did they turn the key? They're here on the far sideline. It wasn't Kyle Rose himself, but nevertheless, the Fordham Rams will earn another opportunity at the baseline inbound in the defensive half. Of course, it's been quite the run as of late. The offense was a tad slow in the first half, but they have rallied back with every ounce of energy that's been built up with them throughout the Christmas break. They had to sit with a very difficult loss at the hands of Central Connecticut, 82-80. They fell last time out, and then went into Christmas, had to really part ways. A lot of these guys went home and just had to think about that difficult loss at the hands of Central Connecticut. A lot of built-up energy, and you can tell this is the moment where you need to tap into all that was building up.
There's been a few losses where we had thought it would be a moment in time that would determine the outcome of the rest of the season. NJIT, for example, St. John's could have been one of those games. It's looking like that loss to Central Connecticut State was the loss we've been looking for all this time.
So with 1:20, Will Richardson will now walk it up on Avery Brown. 78-75, the Fordham Rams lead by 3, 1:15 to play. Richardson gets loose, kicks left side, Jaffe Medor, the triple, and nothing but net. 81-75, Joe Ingles needs the timeout from the Columbia bench. It's a 6-point lead for Fordham. 1:06 to play here from Rose Hill.
Jaffe Medor just went right up for the three. Didn't think about it twice. Now with 16 points on the afternoon after a rough start to this ball game. If Fordham could get a full performance from Jaffe Medor, the score of this game may be completely different. You could say the same of a lot of the games the Rams have played this year. It's clear that if they're going to make any sort of noise going forward, Medor's going to have to take on that Quisenberry sort of role where the efficiency might not always look pretty, but he's willing to keep taking shots until something clicks. And Miles, something has clicked in this one.
And the Fordham Rams, a 6-point lead with 1:06 to play here from Rose Hill as a team. They are 6 for their last 7 from the field. Some timely offense, something the Fordham Rams have been oh so desperate for, Colin. They've been in so many nail-biters this year, and they failed to come out on top in plenty of them. Well, Jaffe Medor buries the left corner 3, and with 1:06 to go, they'll look to make that the dagger.
And now you got to get a stop. Zach Riley in for Fordham still. A tad surprising, not a defensive specialist by any stretch of the imagination. He's had a good game, but it's curious to say the least.
So Blair Thompson inbounds to Avery Brown with 1:02 remaining. Columbia to walk it up. Transition triple from the right side out of the right hand to Jaden Cooper. He can't hit. And Antrell Charlton pulls down the rebound. Colin, what's the call here? And it looks like Antrell Charlton drew the contact.
Charlton hit the deck for that basketball. A senior play if I've ever seen one. Typically a guy will try and pick it up, work on the break. Charlton knew the situation, knew the clock was winding down, just sits on this ball, gets rewarded with a trip to the line. We'll see if he can further solidify Fordham's lead.
So Charlton with his first free throws of the day in a clutch spot. Fordham Rams lead 81-75. 57 seconds remaining as Antrell Charlton is good on the front end of the 1-and-1, and he's been a 47%er from that area in his offensive arsenal, and he's been very poor, but a clutch one right there to say the very least, Colin. So 82-75 is the lead. The Rams trailed by 7 at the break. And they lead the second half by 14. Antrell Charlton bends the knees at the stripe, and he's nothing but net there. 83-75 is the Fordham lead. Here's Avery Brown to push the other way for Columbia. Crosses left to right in on Kyle Rose. Out of control on the lay attempt, but Odunowu the offensive rebound. Here's De La Rosa. He'll heave the three. He can't hit. 44 and ticking, and Odunowu another offensive rebound. De La Rosa the basketball, flips it right side for Cooper. He'll heave the three, and nothing but net there for Jaden Cooper. A clutch bucket in Columbia, back within 5, 37.3 in regulation. Antrell Charlton, the pressure from behind. Blair Thompson commits the foul. And once again, they'll send Antrell Charlton, the 47%er, back to the free throw line with 35.6 remaining in regulation. It's a 5-point lead for the Rams with an opportunity to tack on a couple more via Charlton.
And this is the part of the game where free throw competency becomes so important, Miles. And the ones that you've missed earlier begin to add up here because a 5-point game and a 7-point game has a completely different feel to it.
So Charlton has been a pretty poor free throw shooter throughout his senior campaign, has the opportunity to put the icing on the cake here for the Fordham Rams. 83-78, they lead, 35 to play. The front end of the 1-and-1 is good. Around and down out of the right hand to Antrell Charlton, and an 84-78 lead. 35.6 to play in the second half, Colin. So, crowd comes to a hush here on a cold Saturday afternoon from the Bronx. And Antrell Charlton, a 2-of-2 trip, 85-78. Brown at the top of the key for Columbia. 29 seconds on the game clock. Left side, De La Rosa. He'll have to heave the three. No good. Well short there. Antrell Charlton, the rebound, and he gets fouled by Jaden Cooper. And with the shot clock dead here at Rose Hill, that should do it. 85-78, Antrell Charlton will walk to the other side of the court to shoot two more free throws. And after a couple disappointing losses, the Fordham Rams are homing in on their first win since September 10th.
And I'll tell you what, Antrell Charlton has earned his stripes in the final seconds of this game. I can count 2, maybe 3 clutch rebounds that he's made that have been a product of awareness, timing, and rhythm. Now with a chance to extend Fordham's lead further, cement the win, put the cherry on top, so to speak, Miles.
It's important to mention that was Cooper's 5th. He's fouled out there. Antrell Charlton stands at the free throw line where he's 4 of 4 on the day. Make it 5 of 5. 86-78 is the Fordham Rams lead with 23.3 remaining. And Charlton, who's been a sub-50%er on the campaign, is perfect in his senior year today, and that's got to feel good.
A 100% day would help anyone, Miles.
And Antrell Charlton, a 2-of-2 trip. 87-78, Columbia trails with the ball. It's the heave from the right arc there for De La Rosa. He can't hit. Kyle Rose rips down the rebound. Columbia decides not to foul. 10 seconds on the game clock. It's an 87-78 lead for the Fordham Rams. Kyle Rose will cross the timeline, dribbles waist high with the right hand. There's the buzzer. 87-78, the Fordham Rams pick up their first win since December 10th as Columbia travels to the Bronx and comes up short.
Fordham ends 2023 on a high note, Miles. George Washington up next, Atlantic 10 play up next. A year that's been transformational for the program ends with a win that they hope is transformational in terms of this season.
That's a great point, Colin. The Fordham Rams have just wrapped up non-conference play. Just like that, it's over. They finished non-con 6-7, and they'll be back in action in D.C. All happy to be on that trip with them. And we'll travel down there in just a couple days. But the Fordham Rams pick up their first win in 20 days, and it's got to feel good. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. And there's really no sugarcoating. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
All righty. There's really no sugarcoating it that this was a win you guys needed. 20 days since your last victory over North Texas. Just what are the emotions initially coming off this win?
I think it started with, we had a captain's practice early in the week. I think it started with that. Guys was dialed in during the captain's practice. I think that we came out desperate. and guys played that way, and to get ready for conference play.
Antrell Charlton made some truly remarkable plays down the stretch, some hustle plays that you guys needed. What can you say about his leadership during this stretch?
That's exactly what it is. He know that he didn't play too well last game, and he was lacking leadership. And I think he's gonna stand on business going forward as far as his approach and his leadership with everybody. I think it's been inconsistent. He knows that, and I think he's gonna put his red Tiger polo on for the remainder of the year.
There you go.
And this was a game that you trailed by 7 at the half. Knowing Keith Thurgood, he was probably fired up going into the break. What was the message at the half that lit you guys up for the final 20?
I think Coach Energy, he said he got to get back to what was last year, and I think he started that during practice, and then it continued all the way through halftime and through today. You see, he was wilding on the sidelines, very enthusiastic.
2023 was a huge year for Fordham's program on the whole. As we head towards 2024, what can fans expect?
Going back to that old gritty stuff, diving on the ground, where opposing coaches was jumping on the scorer's table, nervous with it getting injured. So I think that we getting back to that attitude where we saw that grit. With Darius Quisenberry dove 3 times against St. Bonaventure, I think we get in that, and we're adhering to that from 1 through 17, for sure.
And once again, that's Director of Player Development, DeJuan Millen. Sorry about that.
Just say D-Mac, man.
Exactly. I don't even know your real name. That's what I was going to say.
D-Mac, just say D-Mac, man. It's
D-Mac,
okay.
the Director of Player Development and Recruiting. Thank you so much for your time, Coach. We'll see you in D.C. in just a couple days.
You guys are dynamic. I love you.
Appreciate you as always, D-Mac. The energy is relentless out of D-Mac, and it's so funny. I was searching in my notes for that gentleman's name because we travel with him all the time, and he's known as D-Mac around the program. I've quite literally never heard his real name, but he's a fun character around this program. The first time we've spoken to him this season, you can really see what he adds to the table.
And you mentioned his title, Director of Player Development. Collegiate athletics, a major part of it about developing young men, young women, young people into adults, people that know how to compete in the workforce, people that know how to compete in general, do the right thing. This is a Fordham team that had a major 2023. They're trying to find their roots once again. He called out Darius Quisenberry. I was tempted to ask him about Khalid Moore there as well, because those were 2 grown men who knew the situation at hand when it presented themselves. Fordham got a situational victory today, and one that they badly needed.
Well, a big win for the Fordham Rams. They wrap up non-conference play a tick below 500 at 6-5 on the year. They'll now have a couple days off for the New Year break before they'll drive down on January 2nd to Washington, D.C. It's a game 7 p.m. January 3rd on the campus of George Washington University. But that will do it here from the Rose Hill Gym. The Fordham Rams down the Columbia Lions as they move to 6-7 on the campaign. Columbia drops to 8-4 as the Fordham Rams will look to carry in the new year with a bit of spirit. Well, he's been Colin Loughran. I've been Miles Grossman. And with that, we'll now send it back to our Rose Hill studios for the post-game show with Ben Oppenheimer and Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Welcome to the one-on-one post-game report. I'm Ben Oppenheimer along with my co-host Merrick Rhodes. What an electric win. A much-needed shot in the arm of momentum heading into A10 conference play. And I would say this game was a tale of 2 halves, Merrick. Just like A Tale of Two Cities, if you've ever read Charles Dickens. I read in 8th grade. I didn't finish it, unfortunately. Hope my 8th grade teacher's not listening right now. But Fordham is thinking in their heads, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in the words of Michael Corleone in The Godfather 3. And they really look like their former selves of last year in this game, Eric. Coming alive in the second half with the spirited comeback and then sealing it late. Abdou Simbila, I would say, is MVP for Fordham this game. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 7 blocks, 4 for 5 from the charity stripe, and 5 for 8 shooting overall. Only 1 personal foul. That's excellent. And you can't ask for much more than that if you're Keith Thurgood. And I just, this is an electric win. This is great. What do you say about this, Merrick?
I think I think obviously Abdu deserves all the praise, but I think someone else who deserves a little praise is someone we were kind of talking down a little bit about his performance in the first half. Will Richardson, he really started to turn around. He hit some big shots down the stretch. He hit a 3 here or there. But I think the real thing is like you were saying, the tale of two halves. I mean, you look at the shooting for Fordham in the second half. I mean, we were talking in the first half about how defense, rebounding, it's there. And that continued to be the case, obviously, and the defense was there with Abdu with his 7 blocks. But the shooting, the offense came around. I mean, in the second half, Fordham shot 60% from the field, 57% from 3. Didn't miss a free throw in the second half. And that leads me to another player who needs a shout-out, and that's Antrell Charlton, who went 6 for 6 from the free throw stripe. Obviously had a ton down the stretch as Columbia was trying to mount a comeback. But yeah, the tale of two halves. I mean, Fordham down 7 at halftime, end up the second half outscoring Columbia by a score of 56-40. It really was, as you said, a tale of two halves, and it's huge for Fordham going into conference play, especially when you realize that they're playing the best record-wise team in the A-10 in George Washington on the road. So huge for the second half to go that way and for the team to perform like that. I mean, across the board, Zach Riley off the bench, also huge impact. I think this is a great momentum shift for Fordham coming off of the struggle they've been through, obviously, with 2 pretty tough losses. And it's going to be huge going into conference play the way they played down the stretch in this one.
Yeah, Merrick, I'm not sure what it'll take for Fordham to wash away the sins of that Central Connecticut State loss, as well as the dreaded NJIT loss. But this was what was needed right now, and they got it. Heading into the new year, it's a new season. Well, technically, it's almost like 2 seasons with non-conference and then conference. So it's sort of like a new season, new year, turning over a new leaf. This is a great way to go out, and I thought I was watching, it was like I was transported back in time to the 2022-23 Fordham team that made it to the A-10 conference semifinals against Dayton with the second half comeback. I mean, as you said, 60% shooting overall from the field, 57% shooting from 3, 8 for 14 from deep. And then when you look at the first half, 46% shooting overall, or I'm sorry, not 46%, 27% for Fordham overall from the field in the first half, 15% from 3 in the first half, and then just completely turning into a different team in the second. And just the way they did that, credit to them, credit to guys like even Zach Riley providing some offensive pop off the bench, 10 points, 3 for 5 shooting from deep. That's exactly the role he's supposed to be with this team in games like this, coming off the bench, giving some momentum, a shot in the arm, so to speak, as I said earlier. And this is really just a great all-around win with multiple contributions from multiple different players. And it's great. It's exactly what was needed, as I said, at this time, because if they lost this game, that just would have been really tough on them mentally heading into A-10 play. That would have stayed with them a while. And, you know, as Miles was mentioning before the game, the last win that Fordham had was at Barclays versus North Texas. So this was needed. It was the right win at the right time. Of course, someone would say wins are always good at the right time. You always need a win in whatever sport you're playing in. But still, this is great for Fordham as a program. And now, would you say, Merrick, that they have momentum heading into conference play? Would you say that?
I think definitely. And I think an important part to note about the defensive side of things is Blair Thompson in the first half shot a perfect 3 for 3, 2 for 2 from 3. And in the second half, he didn't make a field goal. He finished the game with 9 points. Also, De La Rosa finished with 9 points. So that's huge for confidence because those are 2 of their best players. Obviously, Thompson playing so well in the first half and De La Rosa obviously being their leading scorer. But to hold those 2 guys to limited scoring, obviously McLean had a lot of points, but that's going to happen. But defensively, I think they really shored it up in the second half and continued their dominance on that end. But it also brings up the question of rest versus rust. I think it was Colin mentioned that in the pregame, but Columbia had 19 days rest coming into this game. Fordham, I think, had 9 days rest, but had played 2 games in between that time. And in the first half, it looked like Columbia was a much better basketball team and had a lot of momentum going into the half, despite only being up 7 points. And then in the second half, it was a totally different story. They just were not making shots, shot 37% from the field, 30% from three, uncharacteristic for them, 88% from the free throw stripe. So it brings up that question that Fordham had a lot more time practicing and playing games in between the time that Columbia had a lot of rest. So it makes you wonder that if Columbia was a little gassed in that second half, or if it's just more of a credit to that Fordham defense. But I think it's huge going into A-10 play, especially starting it off against George Washington, who has the leading record in the conference at 10-2. I think the second half, if they can play like that in the A-10, they're going to be a big team. They're going to be a threat to play really hard in the A-10 tournament.
Absolutely, I agree, and that'll just about do it for today's one-on-one post-game report. I'm Ben Oppenheimer, along with Merrick Rhodes. Thank you for listening to today's broadcast of Fordham men's basketball versus Columbia. Miles Grossman and Colin Loughran were our play-by-play and color commentators for today's game. Back in the studio, Brian Raybax is our producer, along with highlights provided by Grace McCarran. Be sure to tune in to Fordham women's basketball versus St. Joseph's at 4 p.m. on YouTube Live, where Colin, our color commentator for today's men's game, will step into the role as the play-by-play announcer for the women's game alongside Chaz McAdams providing color commentary. And a special thanks to our sports director, Bobby Chaffardini, for making this all possible. Have a happy new year, everyone.